All right.
What I was saying was, you notice we didn't have an intro or after show last week.
Because I was so fucked up.
Wasted.
Yeah.
So, here you go. Here's your intro for episode 112 with Wajid Hassan.
Yep.
Very interesting guy.
Yep.
Lot of information.
Yeah.
Thrown out there.
A lot of aliens, a lot of spiritualism.
Lots of spirituality.
But I found him interesting to talk to.
I did, absolutely. So it moves very slowly. I will say that. There's a lot of times I looked at the clock, and no time had passed.
Yeah, but if you're interested in unorthodox spirituality, aliens, shit like that, like you'll like the episode. I think
he's an interesting. I mean, he's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. He's an interesting guy.
Like again, when I read his bio,
those people that have climbed it call it Killy, but still.
No, but like when I read his bio, like I was like, this guy's full of shit. And then I started digging. I was like, he actually did all the shit that he's
he's stand-up comedy. He's been on he did a skit or whatever on Late Show with Jay Leno.
Jesus.
Tonight Show, I guess, with Jay Leno. I mean, so he's an interesting guy. So I mean, stick with it. It's very slow moving. It's not a typical episode for us, at least in the first hour and 20 minutes or so. And then after that, because he has something he's got to go and take care of, we come back after the break, and it's just the two of us for
We'll have the links to all this shit in the show notes. He emailed them to me a little bit ago. So.
Okay, good.
But very interesting guy. Like especially if you're interested in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I thought he was interesting to talk to. Very much a very atypical episode for us.
And also just to tell everybody up front, we didn't challenge him on anything that we thought was far-fetched.
No. But that's our...
I think you really can't even tell what we thought was far-fetched, honestly.
But that's the same thing when we had David Weiss on. Like, my thing is...
I feel like you could tell what we thought was far-fetched.
Yeah, and maybe a little more. But he had a little more dynamic report. Like, he was fine taking shit and giving shit. And I'm not saying that he wasn't, or Wajid wasn't, but the tone of the episode was much different, I think. But
I agree.
But again, in general though, we don't call people out too much. Like I like to let people talk and just have a discussion with them on their belief. Like my belief, when we have somebody like Wajid on, my viewpoint's not important. You know what I mean? It's we're talking to him, and I want to hear what he has to say. And
for sure.
Whatever.
So I think were it not for the second part of the show, where it's just us, we wouldn't have to mark this one explicit.
Yeah,
explicit.
Yeah, but I mean, we cussed a little, but not a lot.
A little bit.
He said "fuck" once. I was so happy.
Yeah, once. I kind of had. I mean, he did stand-up comedy. He had.
Yeah. No, I wasn't saying that he was going to be clean cut and not, but I was like, because I kept saying things. I was hoping to get him to cuss a little bit. Like I was trying to tease some of it up, but he finally said "fuck," and I was like, all right, I got what I wanted.
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy. Very easy to talk to. I enjoyed it. So again, it moves a little slow, but he's got a lot of interesting things. Whether you buy it or not,
it's interesting.
It's still interesting.
So listen with an open mind.
Yep.
All right.
Sometimes, or don't,
or don't. I don't do what you tell me to do. You know,
sometimes it cuts it off.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hey,
it's quite the recovery week for me. Well, it's 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks, but I still feel like I'm hungover.
So what you don't know is that Troy and Trevor are going to be on here in a moment. We got a little intervention going.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I still don't know what we talked about. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got so drunk.
I know you don't. Oh, I know how you got drunk.
Well, I know how I got drunk. I don't. Yeah. It was unexpected. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. You can find us there at the 3F Podcast. Check out CQ, friends of the show. CQ, the Pop Culture Warrior, Tuesday nights on Facebook Live. He's also got some stuff on YouTube now.
He's getting crazy guests.
He is. Where in the world is CQ San Diego?
He's throwing down that damn purple heart.
I know he is. Yeah. The Two Brothers Podcast with Troy and Trevor, great friends of the show, and then Trevor Jackson Podcast. Also, friends of ours, Happened in the 90s podcast, and Dumbass Dudes podcast. Andy Harris, getting married in 2 days, has his own podcast, This is American's Life. You can find him on Twitter and all of his angry 40-year-oldness at the Andy Harris. So we have T-shirts and stickers.
Surprisingly enough to me, how we're so diametrically different in a lot of the ways we view life between us and Andy, but we get like he's such a good dude.
Yeah, he's great.
I really love him to death.
Yeah, I know. I want to see if I can get him to. Well, I mean, they're not getting married tonight. So reach out to him like, hey, call into the show.
Call it on your honeymoon. That's exactly what he's going to do. All right. So tonight we are drinking. I don't know if our guest is not going to be drinking with us tonight, but we have Bond and Lillard. Yeah.
Bond and Lillard?
Bond and Lillard.
Bond and Lillard. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, bourbon whiskey. It's a small batch. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Yep.
So all right. I'm going to go ahead and pour it. You know, I'm going to drink it neat. You do whatever you want to do. I brought a small bottle.
Yeah.
All right. So Let me read the bio of our guest. I'm actually pretty excited to talk to him, and he's done a lot of shit, man. Like I thought.
Yeah, he has.
And at first, I have to admit, and I'll tell him when he first comes on in a minute. But when I first read through his bio, I was like, this guy's full of shit. Like, there's no way he has done this much stuff. And then like reading through it and reading on, I was like,
then when you watch his reel, it's like, oh,
he's done a lot of shit. Like, wow, like he's one of the few guys that's probably not full of shit about other things. So anyway, I'm excited to talk to him. So this is Wajid Hassan. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on here, and I'm going to read his bio while he's staring at us. But Pakistan, England, been settling in America. He's lived an interesting and varied life in many fields of endeavor, from a technical background as a field service engineer to stand-up comedian, only 20 years as a union actor doing voiceover narration, commercials, as well as TV movie roles. He encompasses 40 years of experience in the field of metaphysics, healing, spirituality, new age concepts. An avid hiker, he did Mount Kilimanjaro in 2006. He's a humanitarian environmentalist, always looking to improve life for people with a deep love for our planet and all the plants and animals who reside upon our back. As a qualified speaker, healer, teacher, he can demonstrate how to reignite the spiritual flame within us and send it to outwards to all, improve not only our personal lives, but every life stream in our beautiful world. And he has a #1 bestseller on Amazon, The Struggle for World Sanity.
So anyone listening or watching, you're probably have to slow this down to about 0.5 speed so you can hear what Steve said.
Remember those FedEx commercials in the 80s, Steve? Guys, you sound like the FedEx guy, you know.
I was going for one of the micro machines, but that works.
Micro machines.
So, Wajid, thanks you coming on, man. We've moved you around a couple of times, and I apologize for that, but we're glad to finally get to talk to you.
Yeah, I just thought maybe you don't like short, bold Pakistani guys from England, you know.
All right. No, actually, and I'll be truthful. I blamed it on Joey last time, but really we had a guest that was his only time he could come on. So I totally bumped you for somebody we've been talking to. So it's on me, but I straight up blamed Joey. I was like, oh no, it's him. It's his fault. So, you know, I want to come clean.
When in reality, it is all your fault.
It is always all my fault. All right. But we are legitimately glad. My wife is particularly excited about you being on tonight.
Awesome. Great to be on your show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. What were you about to say, man? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I thought, we had some sound difficulties. I thought, they're trying to mute me now, They're just finding any excuse not to put me on the show,
It's like, oh man, we lost him. We gotta move on.
Maybe next year, Wajid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we lost you like on the episode. I guess last week's episode. Yeah. We just lost you.
Yeah, I just disappeared. Well, cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for coming on. But yeah.
How's the bourbon?
It's okay. It's not great. I'm not a bourbon guy though, so
I think it's delightful, but it's very harsh.
Yeah.
The flavor's fantastic.
It's giving me heartburn.
You give me heartburn. Mm-hmm. I wish I was thinking earlier because when you texted me earlier this week. So last week we did this. We've started doing this thing that after we do a show, because we don't drink a whole bottle. Usually we'll take a shot out of it for each of us and pour it in one bottle, and it'll just accumulates whatever we've been drinking. And then we have a show that we call it the suicide bottle. Like when you're a kid and you mix all the sodas and you call it a suicide.
Yeah.
So
it's awful.
We had that for our last episode or an episode last week, but we did back-to-back episodes, and like we both have gotten a little tipsy, me more than you, but
we have a good tolerance though as well.
Yeah, but I act like at one point towards the end of the episode, I was like, all right, guys, I'm done. And I just left. Like it was a bad evening for me.
My experience with bourbon was back in the early 70s. No, actually early 80s when I came out to the States initially. My brother lived in South Carolina, and we drove from South Carolina to North Carolina and shared a bottle of Jack Daniels. And it was a 6-hour drive, and by the end of that, we were pretty happy. And then we had kind of like a Cockney accent at that time, coming from London. So my brother goes into this southern store, and there's this southern gentleman looking at us. He can't figure us out because we're not black, we're not white. And then just to give you some Cockney pseudonyms. If you want to pee, you call it a slash. If you want to go to the toilet, you call it a loo. And if you want to, and if you want a cigarette, you want a fag. It's called a fag. Right. So my brother goes in, and this southern guy is looking at us, and he goes, "Excuse me, mate." He says, "I'm dying for a slash. Do you have a loo here? And plus, I'd like to buy some fags." And the look on his face, this guy's face, was like unbelievable. But anyway, I thought I'd show you my Jack Daniels story.
Yeah, especially in the South, man. I bet that went over really well.
It's better than any Jack Daniels story I've got.
So first thing, before we go into your crazy bio, and the first thing that stuck out to me is I was a field engineer as well. That was has been my primary job up until this point. So what field were you in, if you don't mind me asking?
Computer systems. I was a field engineer in England for a while, covering Southern California, and then when I came to LA, primarily, I worked for TRW, the computer maintenance division, and we had a couple of national accounts like Department of Justice and Red Lobster, and those large national accounts. And it was really funny back in the 80s. I used to go into the Justice Department and fix their computer systems. And for a year, I'd walk in. And then after the year, they look at me and they go, do you have any clearance? And I'm like, no. They said, well, you need FBI clearance. So I was working. I used to go in there unannounced, no ID, and just go in and fix the computers. And after a year, I guess you can't do that these days, but it was kind of funny. I could go to LAX and just pretty much walk on a plane, because with Northeast Airlines was one of our accounts, and literally. But now, gosh, you sneeze and they'll get you. So things have changed. Things have changed quite a bit, haven't they?
Yeah,
it's crazy to me how much I remember, because right after the whole Twin Towers thing happened, I was working part-time at the airport in Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah,
and it's such a tiny airport with almost no gates, and it was just a shit show. Like, I had no idea what was going on. It was
concerns your tiny regional airport was next.
Yeah, exactly, for Pensacola. Well, there's a big Navy base, so
right.
And obviously all the naval guys fly through the airport, not to the the airstrip at the naval base. But
yeah,
I miss the days too. Not that I remember.
The thing about me is all of the quote countermeasures and things we have in the airports now to stop this stuff is how inconsistent it is from airport to airport.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's security theater. We've talked about
for
that
sure.
Before. It's more of to give the appearance of safety than it is actual doing anything. But, because you gotta make the masses feel good.
Yeah.
Well, with my name, Abdul Wajid Hassan Khan, I remember, when I went to Africa, I was at Detroit Airport, and they had a power outage, and me and my friend was from Canada, and I was about to go on a safari to Africa, and they let him go on the plane, and they won't let me go on. It really annoyed me. So I complained, and they put me on first class to Amsterdam the next day, but I missed a day of safari. But on the way back, coming from Kilimanjaro, I got to the airport here, and they interrogated me for 2 hours.
Jesus.
And I said, by the way, I'm just a working actor. Well, what do you want from me? And they finally let me go. But they were pretty sharp in these, at least back in 2006. I don't know about now, because I haven't been around for a while, but anyway,
it's I think there's elements of it that are better. There's other elements that are not, because I've been traveling a lot with all the COVID stuff. Hey, you got a friend, but you did say you didn't want to be drooling on your cats, so
there you go.
But I mean obviously I can relate as a white male, from America, so I totally get where you're coming from on this. But
but I was raised in England. That's the funny part,
Right. No, it's interesting to some of the people that I've been. Well, we've talked to, like Andre and Easy that are they're in London, Edinburgh, but they're out of the UK, and talking to them about some of their experiences growing up. They're in the in that time frame as well in England have been very interesting for us. But anyway, I had somewhere I was going to go with that, and I got totally angry about TSA, like deep down in my soul, and completely. He derailed me again. I'm blaming him the whole episode.
So I know you mentioned coming back from Kilimanjaro, but also I know from looking and reading through some of your stuff this week that you climbed Kilimanjaro.
I did. I actually got to the top of Kilimanjaro, and back in 2006. And actually, if people want to see a clip, I'm going to get my little kitty down here. If they want to see a clip of that, they can go to my website, which is wajidauthor.com, and there's a clip there, and plus other stuff if they want to see some of my exploits. But that, guys, was the hardest physical, mental feat I've ever accomplished in my life. It was the most rewarding, but boy, it was tough. And it was the altitude that knocks you out, you know. It's not how fit you are. And so some of us, we took this, we consulted with a group of hikers, experienced hikers from Colorado, and they mentioned that the drug Diamox should be taken. So what that does, it opens up the blood capillaries in the lungs. So, you know, I mean, altitude sickness was horrible, but as you get higher up, the oxygen level goes pretty down. And so the people who took the drug Diamox actually got to the top, and some who were as fit, really fit, their lungs couldn't handle the altitude, and they had to be taken down. So it was a really fantastic experience, wonderful experience to climb that mountain. So
what kind of prep work did you do for that?
There's really not much prep work. Like I said, you don't have to be super fit. The main thing, what the guides told us when we started, they have a saying in Swahili, pole pole, which means slowly. And so it took 5.5 days. We'd go up and we'd come down, go up and come down to acclimatize to the altitude. And then, but on the other face of Kilimanjaro, it only took 1.5 days to come down. So so that was you have to have a basic fitness, walking every day and doing some exercises. But the main thing is the challenge of the altitude, because it's not a extremely difficult climb. It's the not like Everest or some of these higher mountains. Yeah. But in the end, boy, that actually coming down was the worst. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, it's amazing how the human body can accept punishment, because I got to the point where I was just moving based on my brain, because physically I was just spent, and I was just pushing myself on and so it gave me a good experience on how far, how much limits the human body can take when under pressure. So that was pretty awesome.
Do you find with that type of physical exertion, because I know, and we're going to get into it, I guess, a little bit, but from a spiritual standpoint, does it, I guess, tie in? I'm sure like the climbing and the environment and the ascension in that is an experience in and of itself, but does that point of exhaustion tie into any type of spirituality for you at all? Like, you know what I mean? When it's on Alamud, or are they completely separate to you?
That's a great question, Steve, because I've never felt this close to my creator or God. Maybe because I was half dead, but but there was this sense of belonging to something greater. And one night we were camping, and I looked up, and there's this cloud across the sky, and it's not a cloud, it's the Milky Way, and there's no trains, there's no planes, no automobiles. It's just complete silence, and you feel, they say the sound of silence, you can feel it. And it was a deep spiritual experience, because you're away from mankind, you're away from humanity, and it's just you and your higher power or divinity or whatever people want to call it. And it was a deeply spiritual experience. And the mountain itself is a spiritual mountain, but that's another story in itself.
Yeah, and that's what I was aware of, that part. And with your background, at least what I've read about you, that seemed to tie in. Like, I guess, I was just curious, because I know at a point when you're mentally separating yourself from whatever you're doing physically, like I said, your brain is just, your body's going, it's separated from what's going on, and that has to, I would think, being a spiritual minded person, that would affect that in some way, because you're not at that point in time, your brain's on autopilot, your body's on autopilot, so there's room for other things to be going on, and experience behind that. That's what I'm curious about.
It was a beautiful mystical it was a beautiful mystical experience, absolutely. And I think everybody should get away to nature, get away from mankind now and then, and just recharge their batteries. Take your bottle of bourbon with you, and just absorb nature and be part of nature, be part of the universe.
So I was trying to think, because I know Amanda might be calling in, my wife, because she's very interested in what you've written about as far as your energy work, energy healing. She's very much delved into that arena over the last few years, has been on her own journey in those regards. And I'm very much not spiritually minded at all. And we both come from very conservative Christian backgrounds, and so that taints a lot of things going forward. But outside of that, I have my own stuff there. But she's very, very much invested in that. And some of it, like, I don't know, skeptic's the wrong word, but we don't see things eye to eye as far as how we view the world.
Yeah.
But some of the points she's making and told me about, I get I understand the rationale behind it. I understand the thought behind it. I understand where it's coming from, and it's very interesting to me in that regard. And so I was actually excited to talk to you tonight, just because I talk to her about it all the time, and to have somebody else in the same vein. Not that you guys are the same, but that outside of traditional spirituality. By traditional, I mean American traditional. Obviously, there's various forms of spirituality that exist all over the world that are far outside of the Judeo-Christian background that we have in America. But it's interesting to speak with somebody with similar mindsets and similar backgrounds that you don't get to talk to regularly.
Well,
I have no idea where I was going with that. Shut up, Joey.
Took you a long time to get there.
I know. I pulled to you. That's how you talk.
Well,
that's my.
When I was living in England, I was raised as a Muslim, and I went to a mosque and did the prayers, did the Arabic prayers, and read the Quran. But at the same time, I also went to a Church of England schools, and there we had a morning service, Bible studies, hymns, carols. So I got the best of both worlds in Islam and Christianity. And I don't have anything against Islam or Christianity, but at 16, I found my own spiritual yogi master, an Englishman by the name of Dr. George King, and I followed him since for the last 40 plus years. He passed away in 1997. So in regards to, I'm probably like Amanda, I'm more into spirituality than I am into dogma and orthodox religion. But at the same time, I embrace all religions. I'm very open-minded. I'm just as comfortable being in a synagogue as I am in a Hindu temple. I just think there are different aspects of the same principles, just given different times, different cultures, different eras. And, I think the leaders of the religions, people like, the Master Jesus and Lord Buddha and Lord Krishna and others, they pretty much had the same thing to say, but it's just being warped. It's just being warped by the leaders and then hypnotized by the masses to cause. Unfortunately, if you look around these days, I mean, there's a lot of hatred between religions and races, and and I don't think it's based on the religion itself. It's just based on the different ideology. When you agree on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's a lot of dogma and not a lot of substance, because the business, I feel like, in a lot of ways, is more important than the end goal. You know what I mean? To staying alive, that self-preservation to most organized religions is more important than, well, we might lose numbers if we, whatever the case may be. Like it's that numbers and retention and being right. But I feel like that's a innate part of being human, right? Is like you want to be the one that's right. You want to be the one that's in control. Well, I think that's when we dig into like who we are as people. I mean, we're selfish in nature, and we want to be the ones that are right. And if you don't ever live outside of that, that's the vein that you stay in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. And it's these days things are changing, and that's the reason why I wrote my book last year called The Struggle for World Sanity. And it was based on my own personal journey, meeting with my own yogi master, and what's happening today. And it was very interesting, guys, that when it was published, it went #1 on Amazon on 2 categories. First was mysticism and spirituality, and the second was UFOs. So, I mean, it didn't stay number 1, but it gave me a good indication there's a lot of interest in the general public on these subjects, and people are opening up now to what's beyond religion, the mystic aspects of religion, going within. And then, of course, life on other planets, extraterrestrial, where does that fit into religion? So that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, and to explain some of the truths behind some of these phenomena. So maybe you guys would be interested to learn.
Yeah. So where do you think UFOs and extraterrestrial beings or whatever, where do you think that fits in with religion, or maybe it doesn't? I don't know, but because we've said for a long time, like, if an alien just rocked up to Earth and just got out of a ship, that we feel like for Christianity and most Christians we know,
we would say most modern organized religions,
right? But especially in the North American Judeo-Christian church, like, it flies in the face of everything that at least most of the ones that I know believe. But I just kind of wonder from your aspect of things, like, where do you think that UFOs and extraterrestrial kind of falls in with religion, or if it does or doesn't?
When I was 18, I had this strong premonition. I was in London at the time, that I had to be somewhere, and so on the 3rd day, I opened up a map of England, and I followed my finger on where I needed to be. I was getting this premonition. I've kept this to myself because at that time I didn't tell anybody, primarily because they probably thought I was crazy. But I wrote it in the book, and then finally this feeling came that I had to go to this place near Stonehenge, a town called Salisbury, and outside of Salisbury was this town, a little place called Clearwater. And so I took the Greyhound or the bus or the coach that Friday. I got there at 10:30 in Salisbury, and I walked these country lanes, and I knew I had to be there at midnight. I got there at midnight, jumped over this fence by this little reservoir, and as I looked up, I saw this white disc-shaped object moving from the sky from the west to the east. And then at 1:30, I saw another bright disc-shaped object moving from the south to the north. And to me, that signified the sign of the cross. I don't know why. And the cross, of course, it goes way back before Christianity. It's an ancient symbol of ascension, which was used by the Egyptians and other civilizations. And then at 3 a.m. exactly, and I wasn't drinking any scotch or anything like that, at 3 a.m. exactly, this larger craft came over and hovered over me about 150 feet. It stopped, and this white light came out of the hull of the craft and filled me with this tremendous, beautiful energy. I don't know how long it lasted. And for me, the experience left me that the people who man these spacecraft are not only intelligent technology-wise, millions of years ahead of us, but also spiritual. And so for me, it was a spiritual experience. And it was then, that I, it was around that time that I met my yogi master, Dr. George King, who was, I believe, was an actual contactee of these higher space intelligences. Just to give you a background on Dr. King, he was a section leader for the London Fire Brigade back during World War II, during the Nazi Blitz, and he had the terrible job of going in and rescuing and people in burning buildings and stuff like that. And it really affected him, picking up pieces of little children. And, he really pondered him about all this suffering. So after the war, he got into yoga, the practice of yoga, not only hatha, but, pranayama, mantra yoga, to the point where he was practicing for 8 to 10 hours a day, on top of his job, which was, a London cab driver. And after 10 years, he reached this really high state of deep meditation, where he was actually contacted by the so-called beings who man these UFOs or spacecraft. And through him, there was a tremendous amount of transmissions that came through. and what was really interesting, guys, is like in the 50s and 60s, it was interesting that there was a tremendous amount of UFO activities in the skies around the world. And that's when we started exploding the atom and hydrogen bombs.
Right.
And to me, I think there was a concern in the solar system or beyond that we were actually not only going to destroy the race again, but we're going to destroy the world. And I think this intervention by these extraterrestrials actually saved us and absorbed a lot of the atomic radiation that was released. And scientists, even up to this day, can't understand why we're still alive, because I think America exploded over 2000 and Russia exploded over 2000.
And
really, we should have been dead by now. So that's something that's food for thought,
So we have a caller right now that wants to, wants to ask something here. Amanda, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you about your yoga practice. You mentioned that you've been practicing for several years, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on the, I guess it's not really new, but over the past 10 to 20 years in America, kind of the whitewashing of yoga, like it's being promoted as sort of a fitness craze, bendy aerobics, so to speak, and what you think about that and how to maybe bridge the gap between that fitness-inspired yoga and a real spiritual practice.
Yeah, those aspects of yoga primarily, especially, is primarily hatha yoga, and hatha yoga is probably the first aspect. Yoga means union with God, and hatha yoga is just disciplining the body in order to discipline the mind, because in the end, it's all about controlling the mind, controlling the thoughts, and raising the consciousness up. And so, I think there's more being thrown out in regards to hatha yoga than the other deep aspects of yoga. So I think there's a tremendous amount of commercialization, a lot of people making a lot of money on these yoga schools, but that's really not the aspects of it. That, like you said, Amanda, the deeper aspects of when you start doing yoga breathing exercises, affirmations like mantra, going into the deeper states of mind and raising the consciousness. And not much attention is thrown on that, but more on the physical aspects of yoga. I agree with that.
That's my wife, by the way. She wanted to call in, and so that's Amanda. I told him a little earlier. I don't know how long you've been listening about that. One of the reasons I thought it'd be really interesting to speak with is your journey over the last few years with energy work and spirituality.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, the essence. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about that, Amanda. I mean, the essence of why we're here is we're not here to suffer. And unfortunately today, there's a lot of suffering in this world, and we can't really blame a divine source for it. We can only blame ourselves, these endless wars and an economic system that favors the rich and, pollution, etc. So, I mean, the essence of why we're here is on this classroom is to raise our consciousness and get into these deep yogic states to the point where, we can raise our consciousness to a level where, we can escape the bonds of this earth and move forward to higher dimensions. So that's something that people are just not aware of these days, or slowly beginning to be aware, because there's more to life than what's going on right now.
Yeah. Very true.
You got anything else?
No, I just wanted to say hello and thank you for answering my question.
So Amanda's working on getting her own podcast going called Art Girl on Fire.
Yep.
And so
the whole thing is based around
That's what I was about to say. And so it might actually be a good conversation to get the two of you in touch for an episode once she has that rolling. So
yeah, absolutely, we'd love to do that.
Yeah, because the whole thing is
Okay.
pitch your podcast real quick, love. It's coming up. Pitch it. Come on.
My podcast. I'll pitch it. Yeah, it's going to be a conversation with other creatives and just people who are on a spiritual path. And it's mainly about if we all share our stories, because the more people share, then the more other people will feel safe to share. And it can maybe, shed a little light. So, yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you. I'm going to be talking to some other energy healers, an herbalist, stone medicine practitioner. So I think there are a lot of good conversations to be had on the aspect of healing in a way that people can know that it's accessible. It's not just for mystics on mountaintops.
Right. Yeah, we can discuss the challenges of being married to Steve.
That would be, yeah. that Joey could be involved in that conversation too.
Yeah.
Well, Steven's going to come on my podcast, and we're going to talk all about being on a spiritual path if your partner is not, and that it is doable. And
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for calling, love.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. That was my wife.
Wonderful lady. Good to talk to her. So coming back to, you guys asking about the spiritual connection of UFOs. I mean, I believe that the Yogi Master that I followed was in contact. He wrote a book in the 60s called You Are Responsible. And in there, this is really fascinating. That this really blew me away. But he would, the people who contacted him would actually give flying saucer sightings around Australia, New Zealand, America. Now listen to this, guys. 3 weeks before they were supposed to happen, and then sure enough, it was validated 3 weeks, especially in the newspapers, that these flying saucer sightings occurred. So to me, I think that was validation that he was in contact with these beings. And he actually went on the BBC and did a transmission of one of these cosmic beings speaking through him, and they asked this being who was known by the name of Aetherius, and they asked him, well, what's your message to Earth? And this really again blew me away. And he said, if you're a Christian, be the best Christian. If you're a Buddhist, be the best Buddhist. If you're a Hindu, be the best Hindu. He didn't say follow us. They said, if you want to, they said, go back to the spiritual principles and live as human beings, working for other human beings. So that's the message that they have, is love and service. And there's something that people are openly, I mean, in the 50s and 60s, when Dr. King said he was in contact with UFOs, they laughed at him. But now it's a minority that laugh, because, I mean, you have retired generals from Colorado talking about UFOs coming to nuclear silos and neutralizing them. And you have astronauts talking about being followed by UFOs. So it's not airy-fairy. It's not something to be laughed about now. People are taking this seriously. And, of course, recently the Pentagon released their information on UFOs, and there's about 100 sightings that they can't explain. So I think now,
which is hilarious to me, because that came out and everybody was like, oh, okay. And they were just focused on other things. It was like, that was such a huge announcement, at least to me. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And everybody was just kind of like, okay, yeah, COVID.
Trump's antics.
Trump and whatever. It's like,
well, see, that's what I don't
sorry.
understand. That's what I don't understand. It's like when these retired generals talked about, these UFOs neutralizing silos. How come the whole world didn't go, wow, this is unbelievable? And then, they say, oh, J-Lo's coming out with a new album, and, everybody's.
I think the big reason
you get one of those generals and ask like J-Lo, and then more people will pay attention.
I think one of the big reasons people didn't make a big deal out of it is because you couldn't argue or fight with the other person about it, because everybody is kind of interested in that. So you can't. It's not polarizing to the two sides of the political aisle
maybe
as much. It's a little more polarizing with Christians against the rest, but even that is not as much. A lot of Christians I know are starting to really kind of come around to the thought of other life out there. But
there's Christians who are questioning the Star of Bethlehem. You know,
sure.
was it actually a star or was it something more than a star? You know, so that's food for thought. That hovered over the stable. You know, so that's something people are questioning as well. You know.
Yeah, I think questioning is a good thing, regardless of what that question is. At any time that you can, and we've talked about this before, and just from a personal standpoint, I've always been of the opinion that if you can't openly and honestly question yourself and your beliefs, then they're probably not that great of beliefs. You know what I mean? And we haven't said those specific words, but like if you can't, if your
beliefs are beyond question, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's part of reevaluating and moving forward. I mean, because if you reaffirm, that, then great. But I know there's so many people that's just, it's face value, because you're not taught to question or to look deeper or to seek as much as you're taught to seek someone to tell you what to do. And you find someone that you like how they talk, then you're there, but there's never an encouragement. And again, I'm talking kind of mainstream where we're sitting now. There's very little encouragement of, hey, why don't you go look? Why don't you go search this out? Because in the end, that's when change is going to be meaningful to you, right? When you do it because it resonates with something inside of you, as opposed to some emotional response you have to something somebody's saying. They're very different types of transformation.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I agree with both of you, because I think over the years we've been kind of hypnotized and molded by the media, what the media says, and what the TV says, and what the cinema said to us. And I think there's two aspects that are occurring now, which your listeners may be interesting to know, that there is a great spiritual awakening occurring around the planet. There's two reasons for that. First is, we're astrologically speaking, we're now in the age of Aquarius, and what the age of Aquarius is doing is it's opening up our minds. We're looking beyond what we've been hypnotized or brainwashed. And in my book, I wrote that the greatest lie detector ever created is your own intuition. And so if we look within, it doesn't matter what people say. We know inside, that gut feeling, whether somebody's telling the truth or not. And that raising of vibration of consciousness is occurring on a worldwide scale. Another reason behind that is the earth herself is a living, breathing goddess, and she herself is raising her vibrations. And so all that is part of this great change that's occurring right now. And people are questioning. People like your wife, other people, they're questioning these things now. And so they're not satisfied with the status quo, and they're not satisfied with even what Orthodox religion is telling them. They're opening themselves to other things. Orthodox religions cannot explain UFOs or extraterrestrial beings, life on other planets, and so people are questioning these things, which is absolutely normal, because science has expanded, and as science expands, people's thought process also expands as well.
That's one argument that I always had for people, like church, even now, like, if God's as big as you say he is, then why do you think he's really concerned about you asking questions? Like, that doesn't, if he's all powerful and he's all loving and he's omnipotent, then he shouldn't mind you being like, are you sure about this? Cause he knows where you're going anyway. So I've never understood that. If you even think about something else, or you ask any questions, then you're questioning God's authority. Like, no, you're not. Like, you're a human being and you're curious. And if God really looks at us like little children ask fucking why all the fucking time, those little bastards. But
absolutely.
And if that's how it's supposed to be, like, you can't have it both ways, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, even if you can even take it down a little farther and go, well, I mean, if you are one of those that believes in, what is it called? Intelligent design or whatever. If he designed you, then he knew ahead of time you're going to be asking questions about this kind of stuff.
He knew ahead of time you're going to be a dick.
Right. You did. Yeah.
Well, here's another food for thought, which again, people will be interesting. There's actually some Christian scholars who are coming forward. I think the Daily Express reported recently that they're saying that actually reincarnation was actually taken out of the Christian church 700 years ago. And so it was actually taught in the Christian religion, and they changed it to the one life in order to keep control of the masses. And I think it's the same with Islam and other religions, where they just say you only have one life to live. It doesn't explain the inequality. Why is somebody born rich? Why is somebody born poor? Why does a child have cancer at 2 years old, and why is another child, a pianist at the age of 5? And so, to me, these truths, I think one of the messages that the higher beings are teaching mankind right now is to reintroduce reincarnation as a truth which has been known for thousands of years, and it's just been hidden. And I think if people en masse realized that we are different cultures, different races, but we go through different reincarnation cycles in order to learn experiences, the first thing that would go away primarily would be a lot of the war, because people would think twice if they went into war, thinking that the person they're going to murder was maybe their brother or sister or father in a previous life. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Dr. King was contacted by these higher beings, was again that to reintroduce the truth about reincarnation. And again, I'm not here to tell your listeners, oh, you need to listen to this, you need to listen to that. Do your own research. Do like I did, and other people do, and you'll find that there's so many explanations for the backup reincarnation. I mean, there's so many examples of people. There was this one lady in England. She remembered doing childbirth in her previous life. She left her 5 children, and she remembered the town in Ireland where she was.
I heard this story.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an insane story.
It brought chills down my spine, because she finally went to this town, and these children at that time were 80-year-old people, and she recollected the times and when they were children, all that. And they asked these 80-year-old, they said, "Is this 35-year-old woman your mother?" And they said, "Yeah." And so there's so much proof behind that. And I think that's one aspect of truth that this new opening of consciousness, which again, a lot of the religions can't explain. Well, you have one life, and if you don't do what you say, you go to hell or you go to heaven.
All fear-based.
It's all fear-based. Exactly. Fear-based.
Yeah. And if
Control.
God is love, and that's the complete opposite of all of that. But it's funny, because I'm very much in my current life and where I'm very much not a spiritual person for a number of reasons. Where
I think that's a lie, Steve. I think you're more open-minded and spiritual than a lot of people, based on what you're talking about right now.
Well, let me rephrase it. I wouldn't call myself experiential as far as spirituality goes. Like it fascinates me. I love theology. I love spirituality. I love all aspects of that. But from a personal standpoint, I don't walk it out. I don't seek it out, whatever. But I like learning. I love the conversation. I love the process. But out of all of the different versions of the afterlife, that's what's fascinating me the most, is reincarnation, because it's the one that feels to me like it's the most probable of outcomes as far as life cycle goes and how things work. Especially, like I said, there's countless stories of people, especially kids, recollecting things like to the T, shit they would have no idea how to know otherwise. And that fascinates me. But my own son, when he was 2, 3, no, he was about four. But he looked up, he goes, "Hey, Dad." I was like, "Yeah, buddy." He said, "Remember when I died?" I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, remember I drowned in the ocean. I was in mommy's tummy." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Are you talking about like when we lived in Hawaii?" He was like, "No, Dad, my other mommy." He was like, "We went in the ocean and we drowned." And I was like, and that was it. And he just ran off and never mention it again. But I was like, that was some really random shit to say, because I was stationed in Hawaii for a while when he was an infant. But
a lot of children remember their past lives, and then their parents poo-pah them, and they, oh no. But then as they grow older, they get conditioned, and then they forget their past life. And in one way, I guess it's good not to remember your past lives, because and then focus on this life. But I mean, people don't even know where we go when we die. And and if you look at some of the Hindu and Buddhist philosophies, they talk about different levels of existence. And Dr. King, being a yogi master, he was able to astrally project from his bodies and go to these levels. He said there was 6 levels above us and 4 levels below us, called the lower astral realms. And he said, when we die, we go to these realms, live there, and then we come back, and the cycle goes on. And it's the same with the other planets in this solar system. I mean, if he said that if people went to Mars or Venus or Jupiter, of course the sign, the possibility of life will probably be minimum, and I agree with the scientists. But then these planets also have higher dimensions of existence, and quantum physics is already talking about different dimensions, parallel universes. And he talked about going to Mars and Venus and conversing with higher civilization on these higher realms. And now people are not laughing anymore. They're looking more at the possibilities. I mean, UFOs can suddenly blink into existence and blink out. So it shows that they may not actually be on our physical level of existence, but maybe on higher dimensions, which we're not even aware of on this planet. So it makes logical sense.
It does. But what's funny about that, and this is the one thing, like when the wife, like I said, we don't disagree. I view the world differently than she does. But the one thing with a lot of the spirituality from that standpoint that resonates with me, or that makes the most sense to me, are the talk of vibrations, right? Because everything down to its fucking molecules, everything's vibrating, right? So theoretically, taking spirituality aside, if you could control the vibrations of your body, you could walk through shit, right? Because you could basically vibrate slower than whatever.
Sure.
And so to me, then it's probable, or at least it makes sense, it's possible that there's vibrations that we can't even pick up on our with our measurable scales.
Sure.
And so if something's vibrating fast enough, you wouldn't fucking see it. Like it could exist on a different plane, and you could have stacked fucking dimensions, or multiverses, or whatever the fuck.
Well, I mean, you look at LED. I mean, prime example is LED lights.
Yeah.
It's not a steady beam of light. It's flashing. You just can't, it's so fast you can't see it.
Right.
So,
and so one of the things I've always thought was interesting, I've had this conversation before with aliens, is like we think because of movies that we're going to see these physical beings.
Sure.
But there could be intelligent life that have essentially evolved their frequencies to a plane that we wouldn't even recognize what they look like, or what they are, or what the fuck ever else. And if maybe they've controlled, there's all kinds of options. But I love the thought of the vibrations, like, because everything's, and to me that speaks to everything's music, right? Because music is essentially math and vibration.
Yeah.
And so on that point is everything is literally made of music, and that shit's awesome to me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and they probably have the technology where the craft can materialize on the physical realm and then go back to higher realms. And so eventually all this will be proved as science expands. And we've expanded so much in the last 100 years, and things that people laughed at in the past, even 20 years. I mean, just conferencing, on Zoom in real time would be something that it wouldn't have been understood 30 years ago. So these things, what the metaphysician talks about, science finds out maybe 200-300 years later. So, but we're beginning to understand.
Right here, this is fucking aliens, man. This is reverse engineering of shit that's happened over the last 100 years. There's no other fucking possible way. Technology does increase exponentially, right? Over the years.
The faster it increases, the faster it increases.
But this, with the jump from 50 years ago to this, defies the exponential rate that technology usually grows.
And the thing though, the problem with technology right now is again, the best brains on this planet, focusing on the most destructive weapons that can kill. There are some that work on the medical field and help mankind, but it's all based. The technology is based on money and destruction. I mean, even these private space programs, billionaires going into space for 5 minutes, for $100 million. I mean, it's like we need to use technology the way I think that the higher intelligence uses it, more for service and for spiritual means, in order to help the race. And I think eventually technology will change to the point where it will be more benign, more compassionate, and deal more with maybe ending famine or homelessness than all this greed and selfishness that we see right now.
Kindles. No, it's I don't know, that all this shit's so fascinating to me, like across the spectrum of how it affects people. Like humans are just, very predictable in some ways, very unpredictable in others. And
Yeah.
the focus is, I don't know, it's fucking, I love it. I love it so much. But that's one reason when I used to pick, and it's been a long time, but I used to grab a different religion every year, 6 months or so, and I'd study and read through it, and then, you know, kind of work my way through, just because I said I'm a kind of a theology nerd, and I don't remember half of it. It's been a lifetime ago. But out of all of the religions I studied, like Hinduism is one of the ones, because it's one of the oldest known organized, and it resonated more because it made so much more sense in a lot of ways. And one of the things I found interesting, and I'm sure, Wajid, you kind of, I mean, you already know this, but the fact that a lot of people think, especially in the Judeo-Christian world, is they're like, man, it's pagan because they're polytheistic. They have all these gods. I'm like, no, they really are kind of monotheistic. They have an expression, like every god they worship is a facet of a singular.
Of the
And
singular
so it's not
God, yeah.
it's not that they have 1,000 gods. They just recognize the fact that God is much more complex than a fucking trio in the sky.
Well, it's no different than just Christians pitch it differently than Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, and all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, but it makes so much more sense. And then but the whole concept of the Om and the frequency of the universe and the sleep and the deep sleep and dream state and the silence and all that shit like that, as far as thinking of how like time and humankind could work and function in a cyclical way, it made the most sense to me as far as, you know, from how my brain works and all that stuff. And obviously it's much more complex than one system of thought, but that's the one out of the gamut that I've enjoyed learning about the most.
Yeah. And, you know, again, you know, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, they're just actually modern religion. They're not that old. They're only a couple of thousand years
Christianity
old.
is just, in theory, wasn't even supposed to be a new religion. It was essentially just the furthering of Judaism in concept at the time. It was never meant to be we're a new religion, but you know, it's like anything else new. It's divisive and whatever else.
Yeah, but we can't even go back 5,000 years, and you know, some of these yogi masters are able to have talked about. Dr. King, he had a book called The Nine Freedoms. He talked about the true history of Earth going back, listen to this, 18 million years, and none of this has been talked about. They don't talk about Atlantis. They don't talk about the atomic destruction of Lemuria or the atomic destruction of Atlantis that caused an axis flip. I mean, all these, some of these actually ancient Vedic texts talk about Vimanas, flying discs, high energy beams, walls, and stuff like that. Which was they were talking about the destruction of Atlantis over 100,000 years ago. So all these things are not even known by the masses, and so these truths again will be coming out, and people will understand that, you know, the religions of the world are very, very young, and there's philosophies that are known about the true history of mankind. You know, will just blow people away. And again, I think a lot of this has been hidden from the masses in order to keep control. And now people are questioning. They're questioning ancient civilizations. They're questioning alien technology, and you know, and they have the right to question that as well. And all these truths are being revealed. And I think it's not only the religions. I think the governments of the world know about UFOs. They know about the fact that they're friendly, because if they weren't friendly, they probably would have taken over us, you know, easily. And so, you know, I think it's good to question. It's good to question, and there's nothing wrong with keeping an open mind. And again, I'll tell your listeners, you know, do your own research. If you want to learn more about my yogi master and his organization, you can check out his website called Aetherius.org, AETHERIUS.org, and do your own research and listen to some of these transmissions that came from the higher beings, and make your own, you know, make up your own mind. You know, I'm not here to profess any ideology. I think that's the best way.
And I was gonna tell you as well, man, after whatever we let you go, if you want to email me any links you want us to share, we'll be sure we'll put them in the show notes. So anybody can. Joey's been taking notes, but you know, but we'll happy to put any information that you'd like to share in the show notes so listeners can.
Anything you want to plug, anything you want to promote, just send that to us.
Absolutely.
So real quick before our time with you is up, I wanted
you only
to.
have, you said you have been about an hour, right? You have another
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little. I can talk another. I have another 30 minutes if you guys want to continue, but it's up to you.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
I wanted to discuss comedy with you because I know you have been in comedy. I know you've been you're on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and so you've done some stand up, and I'm just fascinated with stand up comedy. And so, I wanted to hear some stories about that because I love to hear comedians tell stories.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that,
which is why I said go first.
I know. I had a question. It lines up with yours because we're in sync.
No, fuck off. Go ahead.
I hate you so much.
I know.
No, but my question was going to be along those lines is because you had that first encounter like when you're 16, 17 years old. And so moving forward, going into stand-up comedy and then Hollywood and then doing acting, like I'm just curious how that played out through that along with your experience in the genre.
Well, it's really interesting, guys, because when I was 15 in London, I went up in front of the school and made the whole school laugh. And my drama teacher pleaded with me at that time. She said, get into comedy and acting, you're natural. But my parents, being immigrants from another country, just wouldn't have anything to do with it. And so it was later on when I got to LA, I actually had a computer repair shop on Hollywood and on Highland. And when my master passed away in 1997, I kind of went into a deep depression. And my wife at the time, she said, well, you always wanted to do a little comedy and whatever. Why don't you take some stand-up lessons, which I did. And then I started hitting the open mic at the Laugh Factory and the, Comedy Store and the Improv, and found out that, I could make people laugh. And then from there, I was in my store and this lady came in. I fixed her computer and she kept looking at me, staring at me. And so I asked her, I said, why do you keep staring at me? And she said, well, you have an interesting face. I said, so? She said, well, I'm a casting director. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, well, let's see if you can get near an agent. So she got me an agent and I started booking commercials, primarily commercials as a character actor. And unfortunately, Hollywood loves the stereotype. Even though I was raised in England, they want you to wear that turban on their head and put on an East Indian accent and play the 7-Eleven guy and maybe the doctor or the guru or whatever. So I didn't mind. I was I was a working actor. I mean, of course, only a handful make it big, but I got steady work over the years and I was happy with it. But one funny thing once, because I used to get up on the Laugh Factory and stick a turban on my head and do some ethnic jokes and make everybody laugh. And I was sitting with the owner, Jamie Masada. He was kind of critiquing me, and I had my turban on my head. And Chris Rock walks in, and he comes up to me and he shakes my hand. He said, "Oh, I see you're trying to be like me, aren't you?" So it was funny.
I'm glad you said Jamie Masada because it's completely tangented, but like I've heard a lot of stories about Jamie. I listen to a lot of comedians tell stories about their time in stand-up in the different comedy clubs and stuff. And my daughter has a dog, and I call him Buddy. Hey, Buddy. Hey, Buddy. And my wife said, why do you say Buddy like that? And I said, there's a club owner or manager that I've heard a million comedians talk about. I said, I can't remember his name, but they always say that that's how he says Buddy, and it just has stuck with me, and that's what I do. And he said Jamie Masada. I was like, that's the fucking guy that I couldn't think of the other day. That's him. Okay. All right. Sorry. Like I said, tangent.
Yeah, I mean, people have a lot of things to say about him, but he has had his own management company as well. But I gotta say, the most depressed, fucked up people I've ever met in my life have been stand-up comedians. It's terrible. They have so much low self-esteem that their only high is to get up there on stage and make people laugh, and it's just, some of them are really, really screwed up. And I mean, if they didn't kill, I mean, some guys would be throwing chairs and stuff like that at the Laugh Factory, just going crazy. Other people were drinking before they got on. Other people were puking in the bathroom. I mean, there's some messed up people in the industry, and that's probably why I joined, because I was just as messed up as they were.
Well, I feel like that. I mean, I should say a lot of the most brilliant comedians, actors, musicians have been the most fucked up and most haunted and most like, it's like
had the worst childhood or something.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like
Right.
that. Yeah. You're either a serial killer or an artist. It comes out one of two ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of mental illness in the industry. I mean, a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts and suicides, because people, it's such a competitive industry, and 99.9% you handle in is rejection. And if that, and you have to have a thick skin, and you got to get it. I was doing menial jobs, working in security, cab driver, limo driver, all this stuff just to do auditions, and that can just mentally mess you up. So there's a lot of people in the industry that they're just really messed up, and then when you make it, I mean, look, people like Michael Jackson and Prince and Anna Nicole Smith just died of ODs, and they're at the top of their career. So yeah, it can mess with you, absolutely.
Well, because it doesn't fix anything. Like in your mind, like I just need that success because that'll validate who I am. And you get there, it's like, now I'm the same piece of shit. I just have more money, and people know who I am now.
Right.
And then you have to cover up being a piece of shit because you're in the limelight so much, so it regresses and you stuff it down, and it eventually festers.
I like what Jim Carrey said. He said, I wish everybody had what I had, which was everything, and then realize that it's not it. Fame, fortune, money is not it. It's the serenity within you, and that's where we need to realize that we're spiritual beings in physical bodies. It's not the other way around. And so our souls need to be spiritually fed in order to have that peace of mind, and which no amount of drugs or alcohol or fame or fortune is going to fix. And the people who are rich and have fame and fortune are balanced enough that they take care of other people. They're generous, and
the most successful people are the ones you never hear about.
Yeah,
right.
Because they're living their life and they don't need the other things. But
yeah. I mean, why do millionaires want to become billionaires? It's like it's ridiculous. I mean, all we need a car, a house, maybe some money in the bank, and then focus on our spiritual life, not our religious life, but our spiritual life. Go within and find out who we really are as human beings, and not in this material world. And I think that's part of the great awakening that's occurring right now. People are thinking, even in the pandemic, people were questioning jobs. Like, do I really need this job? Do I need to do something that I want to do, as opposed to making a living just from paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah. I feel like, though, that some of those shifts, like it either has to be because of the social climate and the world that we currently live in, like specifically in the US, right? Like it would be very difficult, if not impossible, unless it was like a universal, everyone did it at the same time. Like you can't really just stop, right? You can't quit working. You have to have income to be able to walk. But I always found that very interesting, because when I was younger, I was very idealistic, and I was like, no, none of that shit matters. It's all that matters is pursuing this and that. And then you realize, like, how society is structured, it's a necessary evil, right? To a point. Like I'm at the stage of my life now that, financially speaking, I'm much better off than I've ever been. And that makes me stress about the money even more now. Instead of like, I'm stressed more about money now than I was when I was paycheck to paycheck, because now I have to keep this level of comfort for my family. So I have to work harder. I have to do this, because if I fuck this up,
the more money you make, the more money you need in a lot of cases.
Well, it's not even that with us. We haven't even really increased our amount of living. It's just that we're at a level now. Amanda doesn't have to work now full time, which I'm so thankful for. And then, we have other things that we're much more comfortable. But like, if I fuck up, that shit's gone, and I'm back to working, 2 jobs and her working and stuff. So like, I feel more pressure and more stress in a place where I have more physical comfort than I did when I was paycheck to paycheck or barely making it and shit like that.
Well, the higher beings have said that the economic and financial systems of this world, they're a cancer in the heart of spiritual man. Some of the most satisfied, happy people I actually saw was when I went to Africa, went to these villages. These people are living in mud huts, but they're not in debt. They don't have credit cards. They don't have mortgages. They live off the land, and they were just content, And so we just have all this pressure. I mean, debt is a form of slavery, As soon as you get a credit card or a mortgage, you're a slave to the system. So
student loans.
Yeah, so student loan or anything like that.
Jewish tradition for the year of Jubilee, and every 7 years we just dismiss all debts, or is it 40 years?
I don't know.
40 years. Anyway, but yeah, you just dismiss all the debts and everybody starts over again. I think it's a great system.
So people are questioning. Yeah, people are questioning. Yeah, so there isn't this, I mean, of course, we still look up at billionaires and movie stars and musicians as gods, something to look up at, and then we're disappointed when they act like weirdos and commit suicide or do drug overdoses or do crazy things. And so again, we need to question, well, who are the real leaders of the world? And for me, I think the greatest political statement ever made was the Sermon on the Mount. I mean, people like Jesus and Buddha and Krishna, they gave ideologies which are universal and spiritual. And we need to go back to the basics, things like thou shalt not kill and love thy neighbor, and just open ourselves up now more instead of living in a kind of a competitive, self-centered world. And these things are actually occurring right now. Mankind, the climate is changing based on the vibrations of the earth. It's got nothing to do with carbon emissions. So there is this great change occurring, and it's pushing mankind to go back to where we originally were. At one time, we were highly evolved beings, highly spiritual and technically evolved beings. We've regressed to the point where, the only way is up. So I think these subtle changes are being pushed on us right now to go back to where we were and end this endless cycle of suffering. Because when we didn't come here on earth to suffer. We came to be joyful, to be free, and to live as we're supposed to live as decent human beings, helping other human beings.
Well, here's a question for you then, and this is something I've thought about before, right? So if you look at the karmic wheel, and we believe our life cycle is, reincarnation, birth, death, and then, as we go, would it not serve that society itself is on kind of on the same wheel? Like we're going to peak, it's going to get destroyed, then it's going to get rebirthed, right? And as the cycle is going to continue until there's some type of ascension. That's like, because to me, it's almost like looking at a micro and a macro level, because every great society throughout history at some point has reached this pinnacle and then just like from the inside out just collapsed, right?
Well,
and there's eventually, like anything else, going to be an end game. But
that's the law of karma, action, reaction being opposite and equal. That's the divine law. I mean, we're allowed to do whatever we want to do so long as we're willing to pay the consequences. So if we want to blow up atom bombs, we're allowed to blow up atom bombs, and we pay the consequences for them. We can't blame a divine source. We can only blame ourselves for our own inactions or bad actions. So yeah, you're right. Every civilization that has been built on conquering, the Nazis, the communists, the fascists, they all went, the Roman, everybody goes under in the end. The law allows, I guess the karmic law allows up to a certain point, and then it intervenes, and then you're right, there is a cleansing. I think this is a cleansing that's occurring the next couple of centuries. There will be a cleansing. I think that people who don't conform, I personally think, based on what my master said, will not be allowed to live on this planet. They won't be able to handle the vibration. The philosophers of old talked about this new age that's coming, and I believe it. There is a new age that's coming that's going to be peaceful, where there will be no wars or economic system. But we have to change ourselves within. And if we don't, and we continue the pollution and the wars and all that, we may not be able to live on this planet and probably be taken to another planet to start our evolutionary cycle somewhere else. So that's something, another food for thought.
Yeah, well, that's where my brain was thinking, like, theoretically speaking and metaphorically speaking, like, how many times have we, not necessarily you and me specifically, but have we been in the same position talking about this same shit, televised on some technology that's been
Right.
forgotten long ago, and then all that crashes, burns, and then eventually
Right.
we get to that point again, and maybe we evolve a little further each time, right? Or we get a little further down the line before it collapses, and then the next time it builds a little further until we're slowly inching towards that end point. Like, I don't know. Just, it's like I said, these concepts, I love thinking about the possibilities of them, because as much as I'm I don't know, I don't know how to word it that well, but I love these conversations and these concepts, because the world is obviously, in the universe and spirituality, all this is much bigger and much deeper than any human being, any scientific measurement, anything can ever grasp and understand, right? So if you live entirely on science, you can only explain so much, to the point that our technology has evolved to be able to read and measure. And we have these great scientific minds that can hypothesize about all kinds of shit, and we slowly prove that stuff right. And science is constantly changing itself. But spiritually, you can say the same thing, right? Like, you have these people that are ahead of their time and how they think and how they view, and we're just constantly in this cycle of change and metamorphosis and moving forward. And I don't know, it fascinates me how humans work in that way, because, like I said earlier, they were so predictable and almost across the board, but there's always elements of surprise that pop up that you can't account for.
Well, it comes back again, guys. Well, what's the solution? And I remember in the 70s there was this oil embargo, and people talking about the energy
Okay.
crisis. And my yogi master said, he said, there's only one energy crisis on this planet, and that's a spiritual energy crisis. He says, if you solve that energy crisis, he says, all other crises between countries, even in your personal life, people don't know that spiritual energy is tangible. It's just like it works on a different octave than electricity, but it's actually a real energy. And the call for today is to transmute this. Thoughts are real. Hate thoughts and greed thoughts and jealousy thoughts, they're all real. So we need to transmute that with the power of spiritual energy, the power called LOVE, by transmitting it out as a white beam of energy. And your listeners can get in front of a mirror and just visualize white light, and you can feel the tingling coming back on your fingers and around your aura. So that's the call for today, is not bombs and hatred, is to send out the light, is to send out this power to raise our consciousness. So as we raise our consciousness, we raise the consciousness of the whole planet. And then again, you talked about the law of karma. The energy that we give out, we get back. So if you send out spiritual energy of healing and upliftment and of love, we get it back. And that's the call of action for today. That's the bottom line. I belong to a group of people in 30, 40 countries. We get together regularly and send this power out. So if people want to join us, they can go to another website called 12 Blessings, number 12, blessings.org, and try it yourself and realize that this is the call of action today, not this position that we're in. And if we solve this energy crisis and become not the religious beings, but the spiritual beings that we, like you said, Steve, that we were, we can transform this planet. Absolutely. Yep.
Well, I feel like, since he's got to go soon, that's exactly what I was
saying. That is a great place to go out on.
Yeah. If you're good with that, Wajid, I'm not trying to rush you off, but if you've got 15 minutes, that feels like a great period at the end of a good sentence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our stupid asses tonight. I really appreciate it.
No, I learn a lot from you guys as well, and I admire your intelligence, so
that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to us.
Well, honestly, this is probably one of the more serious conversations we've had in a while.
Well,
and I'm
very
grateful for that.
Deep and very interesting. Yeah, honestly. It's not typical for us. We're growing.
We're growing. No, but thank you. And like I said, if Joey took notes, but if there's anything specific you'd like us to link to, we'll absolutely put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight, my friend.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. We're gonna take our break, and we're gonna come back We got to do our NFL picks for the week. I'm going to
I
actually,
forgot about that.
I'm going to actually give an update on where we stand after 2 weeks of NFL games, and then we'll just see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised how that was.
it was very interesting. Dude.
Yeah.
Like
I'm proud of you for not being. Okay, here's the thing.
All right.
No. I always give you the benefit of the doubt because you are usually not a dick unless somebody's a dick to you first.
Sure.
That's our general.
That is our rule
on the podcast. That's our rule.
That's our number one.
But I also know you well enough that I expected a little bit of like, whoa, hold on now, motherfucker, like type of shit. But no,
because
I'm
he
impressed.
didn't say anything asinine like
No, he didn't.
The sun is a certain size and this is what it just represents.
Beach ball.
Yes, yeah.
No, but not only that, but he was well spoken.
Or
like,
wandering stars.
Yeah. I feel like I annoyed him a couple times with a couple of my butt ends.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah. Well, he just didn't send me enough love. but anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him.
Oh, I did too. I really did. I guess I shouldn't say enjoyed talking to him because I feel like I didn't talk a lot. I enjoyed listening to him talk, and I hate listening to people talk most.
But
of
I mean,
the
it wasn't our normal like fucking cunt ass motherfucker
No.
jack offs, But it was a good conversation, I think.
Right. So again, we'll be back in roughly 10 minutes, and we'll go over our NFL picks for the
2021
that technically
13.
that started last
71.
night. And we'll go from there.
Yep.
So
we will.
We're gonna do it a little different this week.
Okay.
We're gonna do the picks a little different this week.
I don't remember the picks from last week.
That's fine. I've got them all written down, but I'm saying we're gonna
last week.
I know you were. We're going if you go back and listen to just that section, you were fucking annoying.
Oh, I know.
Just fucking hurry up. It's like you're like, just hurry up and give me the picks. Just hurry up and tell me what.
Oh, I don't remember. I was actually going to talk about that. I didn't want to talk about that
No,
with
that's
him
fine.
waiting. So we'll
All
talk about that. I want to talk about last episode
That's fine.
after the break too.
We'll be back in roughly 10 minutes.
All right. Hey, I'm back. Joey's not. He's taking a piss. How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm doing all right too. Just want to take a second to talk shit about him. I got super drunk last week and he was an asshole, but he let me sleep on his couch. I'll probably cut this out, when it airs because there's nobody watching, or maybe there is. I don't give a fuck. Hey, Trevor commented. That's cool. Hey, buddy, welcome back. Oh yeah, I'm just, whatever. I was just saying, nobody's watching anyway that is at least on the screen, so I'll probably just cut this part out because I've just been rambling.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Figured I'd give you the chicken wing.
I like it.
Sounds good.
So I was thinking,
Good gusset. Thanks,
yeah.
Trevor.
Yeah, right. So I was actually thinking earlier because I wish people from time to time, and I feel like we couldn't do it now because they would think that we're just staging it, but it would be really hilarious if people could see, because I feel like some people think we just talk to each other like this on the show or because it's the show. And sometimes I wish like if I had a record, because I delete everything all the time on my phone.
Sure.
But if I could like pull clips or screenshots from our text messages over the years, people would realize that, we might be a little, because we're in a spotlight or whatever the fuck may be, like we get a little loud on here, I guess, but we talk to each other the same fucking way.
I feel like sometimes we hold back on here.
Yeah, I think we do too. Oh, I know we do. I know we hold back on here from time to time, which a lot of our guests and stuff would not believe that at all. But I pull back a good hunk of the shit that I would say, only because like, I don't want to get fired from my job.
No, well, it's not for, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah. Because like jokes that we would make outside, I wouldn't necessarily make on here just for the sake of, whatever.
Right.
Which
you
is
want one of these?
hard to believe. No, I'm done with the boozing for tonight. But
all right.
I don't want to sleep here again. I have to get up super early and drive to North Carolina.
That's right. Because it feels like Saturday to me because I was off work and recording. But yeah.
So what I was going to say was you texted me earlier in the week and were like, dude, I listened to the last little bit of this episode and you were annoying as shit when you're drunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not that annoying. And I listened to it. I was like, oh, fuck, I was really annoying.
Oh, yeah.
But I was loud. But you've been around me really drunk before. And I'm not usually that loud and obnoxious.
No, you're normally loud on the microphone anyway.
Yes, I'm loud.
Like my wife tells all the time, like, you guys are so loud down there.
I'm loud.
So.
But I'm usually not. And maybe I'm wrong.
To anyone that watches the video, if you ever see me pull the headphone off, it's because I'm trying to see how loud Steven is.
I'm loud. But which that means I do a goddamn good job on the mix because it doesn't sound that way. on the final recording.
Sure.
But anyway, I mean, I'm loud anyway, but
Sure.
when I'm drunk, I'm usually not completely, as far as I know, I'm not a steamroller when I talk. I'm not an complete whatever. Maybe I am. Like
An asshole?
no, I'm always an asshole.
No, I got
But
you.
I mean, like usually I can still have conversation, whatever. Anyway, but I was abnormally aggressive with the conversation. It was it was bad.
That's fine.
But in all fairness, too, like I was that part that you mentioned specifically when we were doing the football picks. I was like, just whatever. At that point in time, I was trying not to throw up on your microphone or on my microphone or on your table or on
my daughter.
Your daughter or the table, whatever. So that point, I was just trying to rush through it because I was trying to hold it the fuck together. But
that would have been so great for you to throw up on.
Oh my God.
That would have been so great.
Yeah.
I need to just, when we're doing that, just keep a garbage can next to you.
No, but it was getting to the point that I couldn't hold my head up. Like I was just like, so that's why in that particular instance, why I was so like aggressive, like just I don't fucking care. I was done, man.
Right.
I was done.
Oh my
But
God.
I will say I'm the first one. Like I was the first one to get drunk, 10 tequila. You got fucked up that one night, but you weren't as obvious on the mic.
We had also done more podcasting that day when I drank.
Yeah. What I'm saying is though, but after the fact, but on mic, you were not that bad.
Right.
But
I was pretty drunk last week as well. I just
hold
my liquor better.
You cunt.
I mean, let the tape speak for itself.
Yeah, if you want to take last week specifically, yes. But I will. But I will say, I'm the very first one of us. I will shamefully admit to tap out on an episode.
Absolutely,
like to walk the fuck away. I'm ashamed of that a little bit.
And go tweet from the toilet.
Yeah, I took a shit and tweeted and I don't remember the tweet at all. But I read it and I was like, that was pretty well worded for how fucked up I was.
There's no typos, that's for sure.
So,
but yeah. So anyway,
I felt like a dick, but I shouldn't say I felt like a dick, but I was like, I listened back and I was like,
I felt like a lightweight.
That was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
It was
really bad.
You like you're 21, just learning how to drink.
It's bad. It's like reminding me of my first time drinking with Miller.
Fuck all you bitches.
I'm gonna suck a dick tonight.
Oh God.
Yeah, that reminded me of my first time really drinking with Miller Radway.
Yeah, really.
Anyway,
I took Miller to his first strip club.
Yeah. I took Jordan to one. I don't know if it was his first one, but that was the one he wanted to do before he went to the army. He wanted to go to strip club.
I think me, you, and Jordan went to the strip club together in Giles County. No, you guys went to one after that.
That was Nashville. Yeah.
Right. You guys went to one in Nashville after that.
Because I was dropping him off.
We went to the super classy one where you get to see more skin in
Giles County. The Booby Bungalow?
No, that's in Elkton.
Oh yeah.
No, we went to, I can't remember what it was called because it's changed since then, but it was at like right before you get into like what is Lewisburg? Is it Murray County?
Yeah.
It's right before you get into Murray County. It's right there at the interstate, exit 22 on I-65.
Okay.
I think it was called Utopia.
Any strip club right off the exit, know is going to be classy. And it's not more skin. The one in Nashville is full nude.
Full?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
whatever.
Okay, so I've never been a big fan of strip clubs.
Me either.
It's not because to me it's like you're paying for blue balls. Like at the end of the night,
I'm a man of passion.
You're a man of passion.
I don't need that.
No, but my general experience, so when I was in the military, what I used to do is I would DD anytime the guys want to go to the strip club. I'm like, you just guys pay me gas money.
Yeah.
But I'd wait to collect till the end of the night, and I'd make so much fucking money because I'd be drunk as shit and have all the fucking any money left over from the ATM. But anyway, but I always had the luck the few times I've gone, I always have a stripper that decides to empty her entire life story out to me the entire time I'm there. And I'm like, this is not enjoyable for me at all.
Yeah.
So
I've been to a strip club 4 times in my life.
I'm right there, 4 or 5 for me.
The most enjoyable part of a strip club for me is seeing those dirty old men that sit at the stage and like dance with the girls and throw the money out there. That's what's most enjoyable to me. Yeah. I had a stripper come up to me one time and said, "Would you like a dance?" And I said, not really into it. I've never got a lap dance at a strip club ever. And she said, "So what's your name?" And I said, "What's your name?" And she said, "What, Destiny or Spice or whatever it was." And I said, "Is that your real name?" She said, "Well, what do you want my name to be?" I said, "I want to know the truth. What's your real name?" So
I want to know the truth.
Yeah. So I said, "I want to know the truth. I want to know your real name. Tell me your real name. I'm going to lap dance."
You want to know the fact, or do you want to know the truth?
I want to know both because it's the same. So
yeah, anyway. That's funny. Like the one time I went with Jordan, like we went and like this lady or the stripper came and sat in my lap, and then she was like, started like just normal, hey, how you doing? And then started talking, and then started fucking crying.
Oh my
Like,
God.
you know, it reminded me of the Bloodhound Gang song, Lap Dance Always Better when the stripper's
Yeah.
crying. But yeah, full on like crying, talking about her kid and all this other shit. And I'm like, Jesus, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of this.
It's the pastor in you.
I know, but it's been like three out of like the 5 times.
Because let me guess, you felt bad for her.
I didn't.
No,
But I didn't know what to do.
I can remember when that happened, and I can remember talking to you about
Did
it.
I feel bad for her?
You felt bad for her.
Okay. Well,
I can remember you calling me the next time, like, the stripper was crying in my lap. It was like, I just felt bad for her.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, well, you know.
it was weird. It was fucking weird.
Those are always easy ones.
No, so that there was that time, and that's happened a couple of times, but I also went two strip club stories.
Mhm.
So one when I was in Hawaii, when Jesse and I first separated before I met Amanda, it was in that
Is this the one where you
pocket.
came on the stripper?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No. But we were in there, and like I knew the girl that was stripping because she used to do like clothed like pole dancing performances and kind of like on
Like teaching classes?
no, like they had this art center and she used to do like
Oh.
clothes stuff and like 30 feet in the air, like fucking
Sure.
talented shit. But
Aerial aerobics or
yeah,
acrobatics.
whatever you want to call it. But she always was just like on boogie nights, she always wore fucking roller skates. That was like her thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. But I think she went by like Hot Wheels or something like that. It's yeah, stupid as shit. But anyway, but she was like, you guys, and she's talking to me and
Was she
another
hot?
guy plays. Yes.
Okay.
But she's talking to another buddy of mine, and we all knew each other, like his girlfriend. And then anyway, it's all knew. She was like, you guys could come by the club sometimes and, you know, hang out, watch me dance, you know, whatever. And I was like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, you
Yeah.
guys, seriously, you guys come on. Like, we'll waive the cover charges, come and hang out. And like having a conversation with someone like on the pole and coming out, it's fucking like
Yeah, for
super.
sure.
And you know me, I don't get uncomfortable easily.
Yeah.
And I was uncomfortable. Like
It
this
is,
is fucking
especially
weird.
if they come and talk to you and you know them and they're naked or at
Right.
least you
Yeah.
know topless.
Yeah.
That's odd because you can't, as a guy, you can't help but look.
Yeah,
and
and like we weren't
yeah.
like besties or anything like that.
No,
but
but
I mean,
you're
I knew
acquainted.
her, acquainted. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was just fucking weird. And then at another time, I was in Baltimore before I went to Alaska the second time. My buddies were like, we're going to the Hustler Club, and so we went there.
Oh, the Hustler
Yeah.
Club. Ugh.
And they all wanted to sit around the stage. And I'm
Of
like,
course.
why?
I
Why
hate
are we
that.
sitting around the stage?
I hate that.
But I had gone up to go to the bathroom or something, came back and sit down, and they were like the stripper just about on our side, you know, where the stage was. And I was like, fuck. Like I said out the worst time because
Yeah.
it's whatever. And she looked at me and stopped me, goes, I just showed you my pussy. The least thing you can do is throw me $1. I was like, well, shit. You got
You
a point.
make a good point.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I'm sure in Baltimore they're classy broads.
Yeah, but I've never been a fan though. Well, that night that we were there, the dude from Goodfellas, I never can remember his name. He's been in like 1,000 fucking gangster movies. Ray Liotta was there.
Really?
Yeah.
That's more interesting than the strip club.
Yeah.
I like Ray
Yeah,
Liotta.
he was there like on a bill, like signing autographs or some shit. But when we got there, he was just sitting at the bar like a sad old guy, fucking like looking at boobs, and it was such a weird night, man.
I bet.
So those are my 2 strip club stories.
So you know Kevin Costner is going to be in Knoxville very soon.
In a
Gonna
band.
be, yes. Kevin Costner in the Modern West at Cotton Eye Joe.
Really, because Billy Bob Thornton played there like a couple years ago too.
Kevin Costner played there about 5 years ago.
I kind of want to go.
I hate Cotton Eye Joe. Haven't been there in
I've never
over 10 years. I've been there before. It's not great. They let 18-year-old people in.
Okay.
But what's up?
Hey,
guys?
Trevor. I just
Hey,
saw that
Trevor.
he commented about
10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not watching anymore.
that. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to comment on it because that's what I do.
So I would love to go, and I would I mean, but you know, I want to stand at the stage and go, "Hey, be on our podcast, Kevin, be on our podcast."
Right.
But I legitimately am a big Kevin Costner fan. I
Yeah.
like almost everything he's been in,
Except
other than
The Guardian.
Waterworld.
Fuck you.
But his TV show that he's in, I think season 4 starts very soon, called Yellowstone, is very good.
Oh, yeah?
It's very good.
I've never been a huge Costner fan.
I like Costner.
Yeah.
I think he's quietly a very good actor.
Yeah.
I think he's quite. You never hear any news stories about Costner or anything like that. He's just seemed, all the stories I've ever heard, he's a very nice guy,
Yeah.
pretty generous guy. I don't know. He's a modern day Clint Eastwood. Not really.
Oh,
Not really.
that's fucking.
I did
blasphemy.
hear this most recent Clint Eastwood movie is not good.
Really, the Cry Macho.
Cry Macho. I heard that like he shouldn't have been playing that part.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a 90-year-old man playing a rodeo, like a macho rodeo guy, and he doesn't fit it. And I heard that he doesn't do that well.
Huh.
That it would have had you put someone else, Costner, let's just say,
Yeah.
an older gentleman that's a good actor in that role.
Yeah.
That would have been a much better movie.
Okay.
I don't know if it was written by Eastwood, but it's directed by him. And
I'll
he's a
still
very
watch
good director. Oh yeah, I'll watch it. So it's on HBO Max. I'll watch it at some point.
I still think. What's your favorite Eastwood movie?
Ooh. I mean, it's easy to say Unforgiven because Morgan Freeman is in it as well, and it's a very good movie, Gene Hackman. But I really, really love Gran Torino.
I was about to say the same.
I absolutely
I think
love
that might be his best movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's $1 Million Baby, though, is great as well. Yeah. But I also like.
You know what? I have never watched $1 Million Baby.
Really?
That's his only movie that I haven't watched.
Very good.
Well, that and Bridges Over Madison County. I was like, nah, fuck that.
I've seen Bridges of Madison County when it came out.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I was a teenager and I heard there were some sex scenes in it.
Oh, probably.
And so who cares if they were 60 years old? I needed to see some tits.
Teenage me was very disappointed in striptease.
Yeah, but you still got what you wanted.
Not as much.
No, you didn't get as much of it. You still got what you wanted, you know. Yeah. But
it was no Showgirls, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, you know, that's what I'm confusing striptease and Showgirls. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right about striptease.
Yeah,
Showgirls
was a total disappointment teenage movie. Showgirls, there was
but you were also seeing what was her name? Jessie whatever.
From Saved by the Bell. It was like
Jessie something. I don't remember because it was Kelly Kapowski and Jessie.
Her real movie. It doesn't matter.
Her actor
in the show. Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So. But I think if I go Western with Clint Eastwood, probably either Fistful of Dollars or for a few dollars more, one or the other. But yeah, overall, I think I enjoy Gran Torino the most.
I think Unforgiven's his best Western. It was a fantastic.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it's very good. You also aren't having to deal with the overdub vocals of the old Westerns, which is off-putting.
But have you seen they've been trying to bring back Westerns to a point. There've been a slew of movies, and none of them have been good.
Well, Quentin Tarantino's have. Django Unchained.
Yeah.
And Hateful Eight.
I don't really throw those in as West. I guess
they are.
Hateful Eight is more than Django, but
Django is just not set in the West like most Westerns, but it's a Western. I mean.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like
the Mandalorian. It's a Western.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like the traditional type of Western.
I know you are. Yeah, you're right.
Hateful Eight's the closest thing to that.
It is.
Even then, it's still a fairly atypical type of Western as far as plot line and pacing and all that shit goes.
Sure, but it's very good.
No, Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight is not my favorite movie that Tarantino has.
It's not my favorite movie that he made either.
Like honestly, the whole scene in the cabin when Channing Tatum popped out was like the worst part of the movie for me. I was like, okay, it lost me at that part.
It didn't lose me, but it was still. That's not my. It's probably my least favorite.
That's what I don't want to say. Ruined is the wrong word, but that's what knocked it down a few.
I got you. Yeah, it's not my favorite
because I don't like. Sure. I like Channing Tatum, but not in any serious role I've ever seen him in. So for him to pop up, it was automatic, like Magic Mike, 21 Jump Street. Like he's just a shitty choice to play to me in that.
I got you.
Yeah, for sure. So his casting,
every other casting
was perfect.
It was perfect except that one. Yeah, I give you that.
And that ruined the
movie.
Who
would you say would be who would you say is the best pick for something like that?
For that specific,
because I think you could have put Walton Goggins in that role and been great, but he was great in the role he was in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because it was kind of a pop up. It was almost a cameo type of role.
It was like having him in This Is the End or The End of the World or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's what I associated with because it was very much
because that was great seeing him in that.
Yeah, like it was almost very much a cameo type pop up. Like I would have just assumed to see like a fucking like a Mel Gibson or some shit like that you didn't expect. It wasn't as like
Mel Gibson would have been great in the
Kurt
Russell's role.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell was amazing in it, but Mel Gibson would have been great in that as well.
But I'm trying to think of younger actors that could have popped up in that. And there's a lot, but basically
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Andrew Garfield.
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Basically anyone that wasn't associated with the Marvel universe or like mostly comedies.
Sure.
Because that's the thing I think with Channing Tatum, I have a hard time taking because he's never done many serious movies.
Right.
I mean, he's fucking Step It Up. Right.
I think it's called Step Up.
Up, whatever. I thought it was Step It Up.
I don't think so.
Anyway, Step Up, fucking Magic Mike.
Yeah.
Magic Mike 2.
No, it's
This
Magic
is
Mike
the-
double XL.
21 Jump
Excuse
Street.
me, 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, those are the
22 Jump
things.
Street.
Yeah, 22
Yeah.
Jump Street. But those are the things so when he popped up,
Yeah.
I was like, oh. But I don't know that many younger actors' names now.
Who's the guy? I hear I hear women all the time talking about how hot he is. Is it Josh something?
Groban.
No, he was in that Steve Carell movie, Crazy Stupid Love. He was the guy that gave him the pointers on how to pick up girls or whatever. Fucking, he was in The Notebook. What's his name? Is it, maybe it's not Josh.
No, it's not Josh. God damn it. It's he was also in The Notebook. He was in
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah, the Driver.
Drive.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
He would have been all right in that.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling would have been awesome in it.
Yeah. He's like a Channing Tatum that looks better and is a better actor.
Yeah. And he hasn't been in like entirely stupid movies.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah. I had a name before I went on the Ryan Gosling thought that I couldn't remember that I think would
Ryan Reynolds would be great in that role.
Oh my God. I'd watch Ryan Reynolds and everything. So okay.
The Proposal.
I like The Proposal. God damn it.
As a rom-com goes, it was enjoyable because he's in it.
Yeah. But him and Sandra Bullock played off of each other very, very well.
They did, but you take him out of it and put someone else in, not nearly as good.
Except Matthew McConaughey.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
Do you ever watch Failure to Launch?
Yes.
Great movie.
I don't know that I would call it a great movie.
Great movie.
Very enjoyable though.
For what it is, it's a great movie.
Yes.
As a rom-com, it is a great rom-com.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
It is a very good rom-com.
Anyway, so
Vince Vaughn playing the Channing Tatum part.
yeah, that would have been fucking outstanding.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on board with any of those.
Or if Bill Murray pops out from under the I'm just kidding.
But I think Bill Murray could pull it off though.
I think
more so.
absolutely could pull it off. He would never do it.
Dan Aykroyd.
Chevy Chase though would have had to have climbed up out of there and then fell down again and then climbed back up.
I hate Chevy Chase so much.
I wonder, and I heard someone else posit this thought, and it made me wonder this. Like, think of all the physical comedy that Chevy Chase used to do, which takes a toll on the body. And if maybe he's as angry as he is now because he's in constant pain from all that physical comedy. Anyway,
Donald Glover would have been awesome in that role. But for the time period, it wouldn't have worked. I get that.
No, it wouldn't have.
Anyway.
Plus, you already, it's Tarantino. You already had one black guy in there.
It's true. It's more than enough. Yeah. So, okay. As far as that goes, coming off of that makes me think of what would be like your top 3 or 4 dream guests for this show.
Oh.
Not like Ryan Reynolds is obviously like my number one.
Yeah,
but as far as like realistically is the wrong word. But yeah.
Semi-attainable.
Not even semi-attainable. It could be a dream guest, but somebody you think that might actually, somebody that outside of stardom that you think we would enjoy having a conversation with. Like who?
Bill Burr.
Okay, Bill Burr. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Bill Burr and I could shit on you all night long.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's very much into he's very into his kids and loves being a dad now. I mean, he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he's a dad, and I think we could shit on you all night long.
Absolutely.
Bill Burr.
Okay.
I think this sounds a little strange. Joe Rogan, because he's talked to so many people. There's nothing you can't talk to him about. Right. There's no conversation you can't have with him. Yeah. So anyway, but I will take him out. That's unrealistic. Bill Burr.
Okay.
Top 3, Bill Burr.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be obtainable, but just something that would be like, if they came on, it wouldn't be like this.
Okay. So these are 2 people, and I'm not giving them as a duo. I'd like to have them both. It's either or.
Okay.
Charlie Day or Rob McElhaney.
Yeah. I like that.
And then the same thing with Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Okay.
So there's your 3 right there.
Okay. I like it.
It's technically 5, but 3.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah. There you go.
I like it.
Ooh, I just thought of another one.
Who's that?
Matthew Broderick.
Oh yeah, he'd be awesome to have.
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Underrated as an actor, I think.
He's a phenomenal
He
actor.
is, but I think you never hear anyone bring him up.
But his best work from my understanding, has always been on Broadway. Like that's been kind of
Probably,
where his heart has been. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's great in The Producers. And I'm not crazy about the movie the producers, but he was great in it. Yeah. But he's still Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
For me. But
And that's probably
Later
why
on.
it would never come on.
Probably. But he did do that
Yeah.
commercial a few years ago that was Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Which was good. It was nice to see him make fun of himself.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, what about you?
I don't know. Like you talk about that, I was thinking like I'd like to have fucking, for whatever reason, doesn't make sense, but I think Kurt Russell would be fun as shit to talk
Kurt
to.
Russell
on
would be
this.
great to talk to.
Yeah, just ask him fucking constant questions about whatever the fuck her name is, Kate Hudson.
Well,
it's Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Sure.
Anyway,
I'm more asking about Goldie Hawn. What's it like fucking Goldie Hawn? What was it like in her prime? No.
Now you're just tapping that Goldie oldie.
Right.
But no, I think Kurt Russell would be really fucking sweet. Actually, I don't know, man. There's
Kevin Costner would be great.
Kevin Costner would be great. I have a huge list.
Clint Eastwood though, as
Yeah.
long as he's been in Hollywood though. Like,
see, my thought goes as far as having good guests or somebody I'd like to talk to. Like my brain automatically goes to who would have the least amount of filter, right? Like who wouldn't
Clint
be
Eastwood.
Well, yeah, but I'm just talking in general. Like that's where when I start going through
Sure.
people, like who do I think would be just willing to talk about what the fuck ever?
Brad Pitt.
Meh.
I don't think he would have a filter at all.
Yeah,
he doesn't need one anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't need one anymore. But like I was running through things in my head, and there's a few that I know I wouldn't want to talk to Ricky Gervais.
You wouldn't want to. Why?
I think he would be unbearable to have an interview with.
Oh, I disagree.
Do you disagree?
I completely disagree. Especially something like what we do.
Okay, well maybe that, but I just meant
if we were on the radio or on TV, I think that would, if he were having to do morning radio or TV to promote him playing in Knoxville, completely different. I think that would be. I think most good comedians are hate doing that.
Yeah.
Tom Segura, for example, used to dress up as a character called DJ Dadbod or something like that, and DJ, regardless, and he would go on and then say like, "Yeah, I decided this year, I want to come out. I'm coming out as transgender or whatever," and like just really, so that shit. Okay. Yeah, but no, I think in
you think it'd be good
for what we do. I think you could have a great conversation with Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know
because he doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks
that's
anymore.
True. That's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I have a really hard time narrowing this down. Like I had a few in my head, and then as you've talked, I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. So I fucking don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Tarantino would be fun to talk to. Like he's so weird and opinioninated. I don't think you could have
I think it depends on what you talk to him about.
Well, I don't think you could have a conversation with him.
It's strange because he was on Rogan and it was a great show.
Yeah. No, I watched parts of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but he was very because he's very impassioned about whatever the fuck he's talking about. And he tends to, I don't know. I didn't enjoy his style of conversation, like him talk. I just didn't enjoy. Whatever,
I got you.
But
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, but I think for him, it's one of those things that depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe.
But it just general
Barack
conversation.
Obama.
I would love to talk to
Absolutely.
Barack Obama.
Okay. I shit you not. I would love to talk to Bernie Sanders.
I would as
100%.
well.
100%. Like he would be a top guest for me.
But on the flip side of both of those, I would love to talk to Donald Trump.
Oh, yes.
And I said that to somebody one day, and my sister asked me one time, what's your dream guest? It's like, I have a list of people that like, God, I would love to, but that'll never happen or whatever. Right. And I said, I talked to Donald Trump. And she was like, why? And I said, you wouldn't talk if you had a podcast where you wouldn't talk. She's like, I don't want to be associated with him whatsoever. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Whatever.
No, I would have the head of the entire fucking KKK on this show to talk to.
There's almost no one I wouldn't have on that has any type of fame anyway.
No, they're not even fame. Like there is,
infamy, fame, whatever. But notoriety.
Any type of notoriety. Like I will talk to, even if it's minor notoriety, I would have the fucking governor on of fucking Knox. I don't give a shit.
Mayor.
Like as long as you're willing to have, governor, mayor, whatever. I'm just saying, I don't.
Yeah, governor, state, mayor,
right,
city.
Right. I didn't mean to say Knoxville.
Okay,
excuse me.
My bad.
I meant the governor of Tennessee or fucking.
Sure, absolutely.
But regardless of political affiliation, regardless of opinion of mine, I'll fucking talk to anybody.
I don't care if you're part of the Rent's Too Damn High party.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you.
I don't give a shit.
That's an actual party.
No, I know.
But yeah,
I know.
But
I'm just saying, like, I would talk to, not that anybody would, I would have fucking Farrakhan. I'd talk to fucking, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because to me, the whole thing of this.
Oh, I would love to play Who's That Racist with Farrakhan.
Right. But I'm saying not to say that anything we talk about is meaningful or what the fuck ever else. But anytime I feel like I could have a conversation with someone that most other people couldn't have because we don't get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The fact that we will discuss fucking anything with anybody, that to me, like, that's the best part of this.
I agree.
And that's so, yeah. Something I'm gonna hold on till later for a different episode. But
okay.
But anyway, but in general, like for me, the best. Let me put that. My dream guest would be anyone with notoriety that would be willing to have a conversation that's completely unfiltered with us. That would be that'd be my dream guest, I guess.
Yeah.
That's super fucking stupid to say, but
yeah,
it is.
So,
Jesus Christ. I'd want to have Jesus on here.
I would as well.
I mean, dude,
he's just a prayer away.
What the fuck was up with that cross thing? I was like,
What
are
do
you
you
cool with it being jewelry?
Oh.
Like, are you getting proceeds from this shit?
Right.
Like, what the fuck happened?
Right. First thing I say to him, he said, I was like, you don't look white at all. That's the first thing I'd say to him.
Hey, that's Jude.
Is it? What is he saying?
He's FaceTiming.
Oh, okay. You want to hook him up?
Nah, not gonna.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I'll hook him up.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, buddy. What you doing?
Sitting on the couch. What are you doing?
Recording a podcast
Oh,
that you're on right now.
I am.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
There's Joey.
hey.
What you doing? How was your birthday yesterday?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah. Did you get presents and stuff?
We did that today. Your
Ah.
mom did work today.
Gotcha. Because I'm bringing you your present tomorrow. Yeah.
Dad, are gonna have time to take me to my football game tomorrow?
Yep. I think your game's at like 1:30. I'll be there. I'm gonna leave it early in the morning.
And I have to be there at 12:30.
Yeah, I'll be there before then, so I should be able to take you to the game.
Yeah, it's at High Brighton.
Yep. You excited?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So, Jude, what position do you play?
I sub.
But what?
I sub.
But what position?
I sub for a couple of different positions.
What are they?
Mostly safety and corner.
Oh, safety and corner. You must be
Yeah.
pretty fast then. So you getting any interceptions or anything like that when you sub in?
I just know I tackle people a lot.
No, for sure. That's good. That's good because safety is the last line of defense. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you got any jokes for us?
Hold up. I need to refresh my brain.
You can throw your mama joke in there too if you want to.
Okay. All right. Hold up. I got it. Your mama's so fat. In Fortnite, she farts the storm.
Nice. Nice.
That's
Well-
all I got.
What do you have to say to all of our listeners out there?
Listeners, all I gotta say is, I will exterminate you.
I figured there's going to be a ligama in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, and right away, Ligma.
What's ligama?
Ligma balls.
All right. I love you, buddy.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Ligama balls. All right.
If I could go without using excessive amounts of profanity, he'd be fun as fuck to actually have on like at least like a 10 or 15-minute segment, like
Yeah.
in person.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
All right. So
Anyway.
we gotta make some picks, some NFL picks.
Oh yeah.
And so
How did I do last week?
so I'll tell you.
Not well, I would assume.
No, hold on. Over the 2-week period right now, you're up 4-2.
Oh shit.
You are.
I don't remember any of my picks.
Yeah. So you won 2 out of each week.
Mhm.
So let's see. So yeah. All right. Yep, 4-2. You're
Okay.
up right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to do it a little differently because there's a couple that you would have maybe won had you not had to take whatever I didn't pick, and there's a couple I would have won had I not had to take what you would have picked. So actually, what we're going to do is we're just going to pick. You're going to pick 3 games,
Okay.
and I'm going to pick 3 games. We're actually going to pick it before our episode each week.
Okay.
This will be starting next week. That we're going to pick it ahead of time. We'll come in with it, and we'll go from there. That way, we may pick the same game and the same team,
Okay.
or whatever. We may pick 3 completely different. So, you said you needed to see this again so that you could see team.
Yeah, you gonna take
names.
notes?
I am. So, your first game is going to be what 2 teams?
I'm gonna go Dolphins and the Raiders.
Dolphins and Raiders. And what's the spread?
I don't know what the fucking spread is anymore. It doesn't matter. I don't know.
Dolphins. It does matter. Dolphins and Raiders. Raiders are giving up 3.5. Okay.
Okay. I'm calling Dolphins over the Raiders.
Okay. So that's your pick.
Yep.
Okay.
Bucks and the Rams.
All right. Bucks and Rams.
I'm calling the Bucks.
It's going to be a good game.
It's 1.
What's the spread?
TB, right? It's 1.
Tampa Bay.
1.
Tampa Bay's -1.
Yes.
So they're giving it 1 point. And who are you taking?
Tampa Bay.
All right.
And I'm gonna go fucking ridiculous here. Jets at the Broncos.
All right. Jets and Broncos.
Yep. And Denver has -10.5.
And who are you taking?
Jets.
Denver is -10.5. Okay. All right.
I don't even know what that means, but sure.
That means at the final score, you have to subtract 10.5 points from the Broncos, and that's how you just see who the winner is.
Okay.
So if they beat the Jets by more than 10.5, then the Broncos win. But if they beat the Jets by 5 and you pick the Jets, but they actually beat them by 5, do you still win because of the 10.5? Okay. So, all right. So, Washington and the Bills is what I'm going to take. It's the football team against the Bills. Since Washington is not the Redskins anymore, they are the Washington football team, and the Bills are laying 7. I am taking the Bills. Next pick. Chargers and Chiefs. And let's see here. What the hell happened? I thought I just seen Uncle Fester on your show. Yeah, there he is right there.
Hey, Troy.
Chargers and Chiefs. I hate taking all favorites, but that's what I'm doing right now. Kansas City's giving 7 to the Chargers. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, and because they're giving up 7. And then the last game, Seahawks and Vikings. Seahawks and Vikings.
Whatever.
Yep. Seahawks and Vikings. The Seahawks are giving up 2, and I am going with the Seahawks, which really puts me at a disadvantage because Vikings are 0-2, and I've really got to think that they're going to come back and try to win.
Okay.
This. But anyway, that's where I'm going.
All right. Good job. Good picks.
So there we go. That's week 3.
Steven actually cares for his kids' activities. God damn it. Just because I don't care doesn't mean I don't try to be a good dad. You can do both, you fucking cunt. I'm kidding. I love you, Troy. I want to nibble them earlobes, buddy. Remember we said that? Remember our conversation on Instagram when I talk about how much I want to kiss you?
I want to kiss you
all over. I think I said something about nibbling on his earlobes, and he said,
I don't remember.
Funny. Yeah, I thought it was funny.
So, Dumbass Dudes had sent something out earlier, yesterday or today, one about Love on the Spectrum season 2.
Yeah,
came out a few days ago.
And I'm thinking, did they mention that show on the episode?
We did talk about
that's
it.
what I was thinking. I was like, I think because you realize I don't remember anything we talk about ever after a show's done. Yeah, I know.
But Love on the Spectrum season 2, we just finished. My wife and I finished it today. Love that show. It's great. Yeah, it's such a good show. Okay, so anyway,
I just started insulting them. That was my go-to.
I know you do. So
yeah. So that's good times. It's been a great night.
It is. So I wanted to ask you about something.
Okay.
unless you need to go.
No, which I was thinking we are really weirdly lit tonight, much different than
It is.
usual.
I think the camera's
I was thinking, I think
pitched
it's the usual.
down.
Yeah,
And so it's
got
not
one.
getting the light, but that's fine. So, virtual reality porn.
Okay.
Do you consider that cheating?
I think it depends on the opinion of the spouse.
Obviously, but I'm just saying, in general, do you think that it makes sense that that would be considered cheating? VR porn. You're basically, because there's so much of it that's supposed to be like you're having sex with a person.
It's no different than watching regular porn, in my opinion, because there's all kinds of JOI. There's all kinds of other shit. That's like, depends on what.
Yeah, I mean, there's POV porn and all that stuff, but I'm just saying.
I mean, is any more than POV porn?
Well, you can get those sex toys or whatever that you can sync up to porn, so that you just stick it on your dick and it moves with the porn.
Right.
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I mean, I think because it depends, right? Because different people process things differently emotionally and get attached to different things. Because I think really where that thing lies is in the realm of like, I don't know, like attachment's not even the wrong word. Because for a dude, it's usually not as much of a time. Sometimes it is, but physical. But I don't know. I think it just depends on the person you're with, and what they say. Like to me, it's a very loose term.
What if it's virtual reality sex with an actual real person who's at the same time on a virtual reality headset?
So you're basically fucking each other long distance, somebody else long distance.
I guess so. Yeah, sure. It's virtual reality.
So you got the fucking pocket pussy on that's moving your thing and it's doing that.
Or you're jerking it yourself. Whatever. Either way, but you're still seeing
one-on-one. Well,
you're seeing your avatar or whatever. Because obviously it's not you.
Oh, I got you. I thought you, but you're actually like live, like with another person.
Yeah, they're on VR. You're on VR.
Yeah,
and you're doing whatever. Steven, you never have to apologize for being a lame.
It's whatever.
Okay. What about that VR? Even if you're jerking yourself, or you've got the whatever that
would be. Well, do you consider phone sex cheating with somebody else? Because that's the same thing at that point in time. If you're interacting in real time with another human being,
yeah,
then that's an interaction with another human being in real time. So it would just depend on your viewpoint on if you
see. And I wasn't even thinking about phone sex. It's somebody getting paid to do it. I was thinking about if it's just two random people.
Oh, I'm not even talking about like paying for it. I'm talking about like if you call a random stranger with the number on Craigslist and you have phone sex with them over the phone.
Sure.
Like if you view that as cheating, then yeah, it's fucking cheating.
Interesting. It's because it's where we're headed.
Yeah.
With porn. I mean, there's already VR porn, but we're kind of headed that direction. I mean,
well, they already have like
a vibrator and a stroker that sync up.
Yeah. Well, they even have one that goes with porn that syncs up with the porn you're
watching.
Yeah,
this one. Yeah. I'm talking about that as well. But they have one that's like where if you travel a lot, where your spouse or significant other has a dildo, and then you have no. I mean, they sync through the app, but
controls. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
but the dildo and then the stroker, and like as they use the dildo, the stroker moves on the dude's stick. What the hell? This would be a good time to put up Joey's new avatar. You can get us kicked off of YouTube doing that.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious though.
It's
I've been
funny.
behaving because I have to mark the time, and I've been too lazy to do it. That's the only reason I haven't put it back up.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, I heard that somewhere the other day, and I wondered what your thoughts on that
Yeah.
were.
I mean, to me, like,
do you consider it cheating?
I think it depends on motivation, the agreements you have with your spouse,
I know, but I'm talking about you specifically. If you found out your spouse were doing that, all right. If you found out your spouse were just watching was just doing VR porn, would you consider that cheating?
No.
Okay. If you found out your spouse was doing VR and it was another person, whether they knew them or not, but they weren't paying anything. It was just two random people online doing VR sex. Would you consider that cheating?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I know her well enough to know that that's happening. There's something emotionally wrong, and it's a separation. It's not just
even though it's just some random person they just met and there's no way to contact each other outside of that.
Yeah. It's because of the reason behind it that I know of, because I know that well. So
even if they couldn't talk to each other,
it's not about that. It's about to get to the point of that type of interaction with another human being. There's something very wrong between us. And so that's being done for a reason that hasn't been addressed. So it's not so much about the act as much as about the reason behind the act. And that's why.
Well, and that there's a difference in that in men and women. Like women consider like emotional affairs like a much bigger deal than you just fucking somebody.
Right.
Like they don't want either of them.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
whereas a dude is like, I'd much rather you be sending text messages to somebody than me have to walk in and see his ball slapping against your ass.
Right.
I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, it's different ways of looking at it, but I mean, it also is biological, all kinds of different
Sure.
shit. But like for me, like I know for a fact that if like my wife she's interacting in real time, whether
Yep.
it's physically in person, internet, whatever, with someone else, it's because that there's a major issue with us and she's basically wanting something besides me. That's
Gotcha.
the reason behind it. It's not just it was available.
Do you
type of
think of
thing.
that the same way if they're using toys on themselves alone frequently? You don't think the same thing?
No.
Like they're you don't look at it as they're getting something that they can't get from you?
No, because they're getting it from themselves. They're not getting it
I
from
got you.
someone else. There's a
Sure, I
you
got
know
you.
what I mean.
No,
Like,
I
now
get
if they're
that,
sitting there
but
giving it to themselves
but I
and they're
could see
texting somebody,
where
different story.
sure, but I could see where one could look at it that was like, you can't get something from me, so you're using this to do
No,
it. It's not
because-
another person, but so I
Right.
see that there's a
But
difference.
see, I don't
there.
understand that mindset because for me, like if like masturbation orgasms, like everybody fucking needs them 100%. Like
For sure.
it's part of life. And like if I'm either not giving you enough of them or you don't want and I'm not home or whatever, like I encourage like jerk off or masturbate or rub that fucking base
Sure.
as much as you fucking want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And like I would rather if you're not getting something that I can't give you, then we should talk about that.
Yeah.
But if you're just fucking hitting that vibrator up because you like the fucking vibrator, then fucking vibe to town, girl. I don't give a shit.
Interesting.
Because to me, like I feel like if I'm inadequate, you'll tell me, and then we can fucking figure some shit out. But if you're doing it just because
Yeah, I
you like
think
it,
the issue would come in at that point is if they're withholding sex or whatever, and they're still going and doing that.
that's
a
but
di-
again, that's a
but it's a
motivational
different
thing.
issue there
Right.
altogether.
Yeah, but like no, but a man,
It's not cheating.
A man
but
could break
still.
out the fucking dildo and vibrator all day long. I don't give a shit as long as I don't fuck care.
Yeah. I got you.
Because like I mean, are you if and I don't know you, Krista, but like theoretically, if Krista was like, I don't want you jerking off anymore, like I don't want you to fucking come unless I'm around, like would you be okay with that?
No,
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
yeah. So and
I
guess-
only come
so-
when she's not around.
so-
I'm just kidding.
no, so like on the flip side of that, like, would you consider cheating when you jerk off? Because you don't have
No.
a toy, right? Exactly.
Right. No.
Yeah. Same thing. Like I don't look at any like fucking
Well,
her.
it depends. If I use my left hand, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, but like I don't care like whether it's her hand or a toy. It's the same thing. It's self pleasure.
Sure.
That's different with an interaction with another human.
Yeah,
being.
yeah. It's all the motivation behind it,
Yeah,
for sure. But I just heard some people talking about virtual
Yeah,
reality.
I think the
porn and
difference
stuff
is
like that.
is the interaction with another human being, whether it's a stranger, whether it's not, because it's no different than.
No, what if it's like a phone sex type situation, but it's virtual reality?
That's what I'm saying. That's the same thing.
Okay.
Because it's interaction with another human being that you're substituting for the person that you're with.
Interesting.
And again, like I feel like it's different depending on the person, and
Sure.
you know them, right? Because
Yeah.
like if you're with someone, and it's rare, but it does occur that they can fully separate emotionality just between physical sex and emotional connection. If there's a
Absolutely.
true separation there, then even if you dislike it, you have to be able to say, hey, they're not like necessarily they're just like, I'm not around, I'm on whatever, they're fucking horny, like I get it. Like you have to have the understanding of the person that you're with.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more nuanced than that, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm speaking in generalities.
Yeah.
For sure. Because that's the
Interesting.
conversation you have to have as a married
Oh, for
couple,
sure.
right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the same time with people, and very rarely have I seen them work. But somebody that has like an open relationship.
Oh, yeah, they almost never work. Not long term anyway.
Well, it's because one of the people always has more feelings than the other one, or has the emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Because that's the risk, right? Because sex inherently for most people is an emotional experience, men or
Mhm.
women, in different ways.
Yeah.
But an attachment's always going to fucking form to someone if you're fucking them.
Sure.
That's just how it's going to work.
What do you all think about Mary's being ruined due to porn, or was it something? I can't see the rest of it because you're blocking it.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. Let me hold.
What do you guys think about marriages being ruined due to
or
porn,
something
or was it something deeper? I think what comes first, the chicken or the egg,
See,
is the
here's
thing.
Here's the thing.
It can be ruined due to porn because porn creates something deeper, but it can also be there's something deeper and you get into porn.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. Porn is like anything else. I feel like it's amoral. Like there's no more. It's a thing, right? Like it's kind of
Okay.
like, I mean, fucking gambling ruins marriages. Fucking
For sure.
TV, video games ruin marriages.
Yeah, but people tend to view porn differently because sex is involved in porn.
I understand that. But it's still in and of itself, it's a thing.
It is a thing, but I'm just saying, like, people view it differently because you're seeing another naked person and you don't want your spouse seeing
Right.
someone or getting off due to someone else.
But I feel like that's insecurity.
it is, but it's still reality as
Right.
well.
I get that.
It's still reality. I mean, you can gamble all you want, unless you're playing strip poker. You're not. It's not.
But you're still choosing something over something else.
You absolutely are.
Crux of it.
You absolutely are. But I think porn adds another aspect as well.
I think especially in the Judeo-Christian world, because like, would it bother you just if Krista was watching porn? Would it bother you?
No, it just depends on everything. It's a lot more things that go into that.
Exactly.
But in general, no.
Exactly.
Right.
And same thing. Like it comes to a question of are you watching this because you're not getting enough from me, or do you just fucking enjoy it? Like they're two very different things.
Well, who really enjoys porn? Just watching porn.
Some people fucking love that shit.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't think that. I mean, I know a couple guys that wife left it because of porn, but it seems like I think it's a deeper insecurity, but I think it's on the part of the dude too. Like, I feel like addiction ruins marriages.
Oh, for sure.
And whether that's an addiction to porn, whether it's addiction to gambling, alcohol, drugs, what the fuck ever.
Sure.
When anytime you're in a situation that the person you're with, in either role, like you feel like they're choosing something consistently over you, or you feel like, or they feel like you're choosing something over them, that's an insecurity at its basis, right? Like, why am I not enough that they have to have this thing instead of me?
Sure.
But I think a lot of times people don't understand addiction either.
No,
they take addiction personally.
I mean, I know it until a professional said something. I know my wife and I had the conversation before. It's like, porn is no different than drugs and alcohol and gambling and whatever. Like, it lights up that same spot in the brain, that pleasure center that all the rest of it does. And she was like, no, I absolutely do not believe that whatsoever. And then we had that conversation with a professional, and the professional was like, no, it absolutely does. Like, it's fulfilling the same thing that someone addicted to gambling is getting when they go in on a big hand or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was a turning point for my wife to go, oh, okay. That it was explained in a way that she understood a little better, but it is the same thing. But I definitely see where someone adds one more thing to it, because it's the naked body of someone getting you off. It's not just an addiction.
Right. But that adds, but that's in perception. At its core, it's the same thing. It's like you said, it's nuance.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the core, it's the same thing. It's somebody choosing something else over you.
Yeah.
Period. Like, why is sex with me not enough that they have to watch somebody have sex with somebody else? Oh, dude, because I'm a goddamn good power bottom. That's fucking why.
Unless you're drunk.
Unless I'm drunk,
then you're just like, hurry up and get it over with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, then your cock hits the taint, and it's just fucking, it hurts.
It does hurt a lot.
But I mean, I feel like I think I think porn is different in the sense it's more damaging if you start watching it when you're younger.
Oh,
because
for sure.
Because it puts the wrong idea of what sex is in your head and what it's about. But that's a proven fucking thing. But I think, like, as an adult, it's really just whatever your values are versus whatever your spouses are. Or
but still,
partners.
even as an adult, no one watches porn. And I'm painting in broad strokes. There are definitely outliers, but no one watches porn and just stops at that vanilla porn. It always progresses.
Think so?
Again, broad strokes. There are outliers.
See, but
it always progresses.
I feel like
it's just like drugs. I mean, you ignite that, you light up that pleasure center, and eventually you have to get harder and harder.
But that's assuming if it's an addiction. I'm talking about casual consumer.
Yeah, but in general, most people end up addicted to porn.
I would say most.
I would say most.
They get into it, but that's the keyword, is getting into it.
Well, I think when you,
because if that was the case, almost every single dude on this planet would be addicted to porn.
I mean, I would, if you were a professional, you told me that the majority of men on this planet are addicted to porn, I would believe you. If you're a professional,
I wouldn't. I feel like the majority of dudes have watched porn and might be occasionally enjoy porn, but I don't think the majority of people are addicted to porn.
No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, and you kind of define addiction on whether it affects your personal life. I mean,
no, I don't define it like that at all.
No, but in reality, like when you talk about alcoholism or drug addiction, is whether it has a negative effect on your personal life.
I don't look at any of that.
No, but that's how they define it. that's how they determine whether you need to seek help or not.
But that's not how they define addiction.
It is. I listen to plenty of addiction medicine specialists.
Okay.
And I've heard all of them say the same things, like, especially if people call them.
But but that statement by itself is making the assumption that if it's not affecting your personal life, you're not addicted to something.
It's not an addiction. It's not the it's no, yeah, you're right. It is making that statement, but it's you don't treat it the same, I guess is the best way for me to put it.
Yeah, you don't treat it the same.
You don't treat it the same.
Well,
But for the sake of when you talk about things medically and things like that, that's kind of the way where that's the line they draw.
Yeah, I got you.
So
Well, it's like the difference between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2, right? Basically, the big difference is you've been hospitalized with one, you haven't been hospitalized with the other. That's the big distinguishing factor.
gotcha.
But just that doesn't mean that you're not bipolar 1 if you haven't been hospitalized. It just means that that's the line that they draw.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of those same addiction medicine specialists say the same thing as like, doesn't mean that you're not going to be there at some point, but you're not there yet.
Right. But it's why they differentiate too, I guess, between like alcohol dependency and alcoholism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both an addiction, but one is a stronger, like you said, one becomes a staple of your life. One you can, in theory, more easily walk away from. But yeah, but by my point being though, is like, I know a lot of guys that they'll watch porn. Occasionally, I guess an inspirational thing, but for the most part, they're not into it. Like it's just an occasional type of thing. And to me, that's not an addiction whatsoever. But most guys, like I said, if you define it by affects your personal life, then I don't think most guys would become considered themselves addicted to porn.
Sure, I think most people don't consider themselves addicted to porn.
Let me rephrase it. I'm sorry. I don't think you could consider most people addicted to porn. Most men.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel like it's a much higher percentage in the church than it is in the secular world.
Yeah, I think that's probably true as well.
Higher. Like I would say, if you're talking about the church, yeah, I would say that most men are addicted.
But I think most of those guys you're talking about, couldn't just put it down and walk away.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree. Do you still watch porn?
Occasionally.
Yeah. Do you feel like you could just
depends on it also,
do you feel like you could never watch it, or like that you could put it down and never watch it again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, never's a long time, but I know I've done it. Yeah. I mean, I've not never done it. But
well, I think the issue is when you start defining it in terms of morality, right? Like that's where the issue lies, because that's one reason why I think there's such an issue with it in the church and all this stuff is because it's so villainized and it's so evil and it's so taboo, but we're inherently sexual by nature, and like inherently as human beings. And when you start like demonizing sex and start closeting that shit, then you find it where you can, right? It's that type of thing, and it's easier to cover up watching porn than it is fucking banging girls every weekend if you're in a small town and at a church, but I feel like porn is like anything else, man. Like it's an amoral thing. It's what you do with it that makes it moral or immoral. Like drugs in themselves, they're amoral. Like they're an object, they're a thing. It's how they're used that changes morality.
For sure. But you could almost put everything like that, though.
Yeah,
almost
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, morality falls in your actions, right? If you want to start defining morality,
right? But porn, at its essence, comes from a place that's not amoral.
Well, it's not immoral.
Majority of it, people would tell you, it comes from.
If on paper, right? Let's talk general strokes, that everybody in this consenting, not pressured in, and is there of their own volition, then there's nothing immoral.
Yeah, but that's not the reality of porn, is the point.
That's not the reality of most things.
Okay. But we're talking about porn.
Yeah, that's true. But you have no way of knowing that.
I guess no, but I can still come to an agreement with you that
so let me
porn
say this.
in itself as a tangible thing.
I will say porn as an industry is in large part immoral.
Which is exactly what I was about to get to.
But porn as a thing,
yes,
because let's say that you had neighbors that are super fucking hot and they film themselves banging and they fucking put it on the internet and you watched it.
Sure,
there's nothing immoral about what they did.
Yeah.
Right. And the consumption of that is on you. What you do with that is what makes it. And again, your actions are what define the morality, not the thing.
Yeah. We're saying the same thing at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree. But I feel like that people's actions are what define morality, not the thing. Right. That's why, like, I don't like, anyway, it's like anything else, right? It's what you do with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Anyway.
Guns.
Yeah. Dicks. Balls. Lick on my balls.
Lick on my balls. All right. So, that's a good place to go out on.
I feel
so
like this.
Just next week, The live stream will not be Friday night
Oh,
or
yeah, we
Saturday. It
got
will be
it-
Sunday morning.
Fucking 3 the hard way, bitches.
3 the hard
I'm
way.
so
again
excited.
with Andre and Easy from the UK and Josh from Australia. We'll be going live on our streaming apparati.
Twitch, YouTube.
Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and I guess Twitter. Yeah. So we'll be going live at 7 a.m. Eastern on Sunday morning, October 3rd, I guess. Is what
I'm getting a new tattoo on Monday. I'm getting my sleeve finished.
Nice.
Elbow to fucking shoulder, bitch. One day.
Nice. So you'll be good and cranky.
No, I'm doing that Monday.
All right. Well,
Taking the day off. It's the following day.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we going to drink?
I don't know. I need to. I got to reach out to them and see. Do they got a
Did
recommendation?
we do mimosas last time?
We did. No, we did tequila sunrise.
Yeah, let's do mimosas.
All right,
I think
that'll
it's a
work
good-
for me.
It's like
Mimosas will be
it's a brunchy
fine.
thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to think though if there's another kind of breakfast drink outside of Bloody Mary.
Well,
'cause
really,
those suck.
I will not drink a Bloody Mary.
No, I
Fuck
hate
you.
Bloody Marys.
Yeah, anything with tomato juice can suck a dick.
Yeah.
But
Except pizzas and spaghetti.
I'm talking beverages
No, I
with
got
tomato
you.
sauce. I mean, let me rephrase
Clamato.
it. What's that?
Clamato.
No, I mean, really, everything is a breakfast drink if you drink it in the morning.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
my point.
Most Thanksgiving mornings, because I get up before everybody else a lot of times, I have whiskey and a cigar before everybody else gets up.
Should I think about? I think I have some 15-year Redbreast left.
Yeah, we'll
See
see.
some morning drinks, but it's your week, so
You're right. So,
all right.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we got Andre, Easy, and Josh. Andre and Easy from the Juxtaposition Debate, and then Josh did What Are We Doing Here podcast, and I don't think he's done one in a while, but we'll be back with him on Sunday, October 3rd. 7 a.m. Eastern will be live. Who knows how long it'll go? Last time it went several hours, and we broke it up into 2 episodes.
I'm
We'll
going to bring a second SD card for that, just in case.
All right,
I
that's
don't
fine.
think we'll need it, but just in fucking case.
Just in case. So there's that. What else? Anything else?
That's it. I want to thank Wajid again for coming on.
Yeah, for sure.
He was honestly like a much better. I didn't expect him to suck because we really
He's professional.
We very much usually have really good conversations, but with almost anyone. But I particularly we more than I expected enjoyed him having him on.
Right.
So all right.
Yeah. So
Through the Hard Way next Sunday.
Through the Hard Way next
Or this
Sunday.
coming Sunday by the time you listen to this shit.
Yeah. Sunday, October 3rd, 7 a.m. Eastern, if you want to watch the live stream. Otherwise, you'll get the episode the next day, Monday, October 4th.
Yep. In the meantime, I would like to say we have b3fpodcast.com. You can tell us what you really think, but also what I would like is after people, or as we're listening to the episodes, if they have opinions and shit of things they want to say,
For sure.
send us a fucking email. We'll read that shit and we'll
Send us an email. Comment on the video on YouTube. We'll go
because
that way.
I wouldn't mind like every episode taking a couple minutes at the beginning to reply to comments and shit from the previous episode.
Sure. I agree with that.
Yeah. All right.
Until next week.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at B3F Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch at B3F Podcast. And on Instagram at B3F_podcast. YouTube has all of our videos. Support us on Patreon or buy me a coffee at B3F Podcast. Send all your questions or comments to admin at B3Fpodcast.com. Find us online at B3Fpodcast.com. Rate us and review us wherever you listen. And as always, thanks for listening.